हाँ मैं तुम जाते क्लास आ मांझी क्लास अटेंड करूँ
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Uh, it's 7 o'clock. I guess Konain is here. He messaged that we'll be starting off. So, uh, Konain, you can start off.
Thank you very much, Abrar. Walaikum salam. And assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope everybody's doing great. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before we start, uh, first of all, first and foremost, I would like to welcome you all to our second cohort of the online data science certification. All of us at FTI, we're equally as excited as you guys are to welcome you on board, and we hope that you have a very exciting journey with us going forward. And we hope that we all share this amazing learning experience with each other and grow with each other as we go along. So far everybody can hear me, no voice issues, or everybody can see the screen as well.
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Perfect. All right. So before we begin, I would just like to shed some light on Frontier Technology Institute. So my name is Qurban, and I'm the founder of FTI. We started this initiative about close to a year ago, and the sole purpose of setting up this institute was to launch a data science school in Pakistan, where we can provide data literacy education not only to the university students but also to industry professionals. And my background, my personal background is that so before I moved to Pakistan full time, I was working in New York for about 6 years. I also did my MS there, and upon graduation from my masters, I worked in finance for a year, and then I worked in data analytics about 4 months. And it was during that time that I realized the scope of data science, the potential that it offered to not only to the students but also to the professionals who were slowly and surely are interested to work or study in this field. And the kind of projects that we were doing during my time working as a data science consultant was were that we were facilitating not just a particular kind of industry, but we were servicing pretty much every other industry. And that's where I realized the scope for data science is not just specific to any particular niche or any particular industry, but it really depends on how much data is an organization gathering on an ongoing basis, and then realizing the potential that analytics can bring to the table for them, and sort of benefiting from there on. So therefore I decided that it was high time that we did something in our country, in Pakistan, along similar lines. And during my initial research in Pakistan, I realized that there was not one specific school in the country that offered such data literacy programs. By data literacy, I mean, educating the people who are interested in this field to understand the potential of data. So yeah, so there weren't one school that really specifically focused on that, and therefore um, myself and along with my co-founders, we realized that this is an excellent opportunity for us to set up something like that, something along those lines in Pakistan, and enable the people not just in the country but also thanks to COVID, through our online medium, uh, anywhere who are interested uh, to share this knowledge of data science with them. And so we started this initiative about a year ago, and FTI has really grown in the past year. So this is our fourth cohort, Alhamdulillah, and we have already graduated 2 on-site cohorts. We have already graduated 1 online cohort before that. So this is our second online initiative, and we realized the potential of reaching out uh, to as many people outside of Pakistan as possible, and therefore we decided to open up this cohort for people outside of the country as well. All right, so moving on, I would like to shed some light on, you know, the objectives, the mission and the vision behind FTI. So FTI was really set up to become the premier state-of-the-art data science institute in the country. So at the moment, we are a data science school, and we offer academic and research opportunities within the field of data science, within the field of data engineering, within the field of data visualization. And our mission is to become the premier institute for data science in the country. And our vision eventually is to bridge the gap that has existed between the industry and the academia through our objective of providing data-driven research and education. So what I really mean by that is that what we see is that after having a conversation with people from the industry, both within Pakistan and outside of the country, well, I have realized that the industry does certainly collect a lot of data, but a lot of their senior executives or their mid-level management, like the people, by them I mean the people who are the decision makers, they don't really know what can they achieve with the mass amounts of data that is inflowing within their organization on a ongoing basis. And that's where we step in, because the academic institutions, both within the country as well as outside of most of the institutions outside of Pakistan, they don't really instill the kind of data-driven education that that they need to, which will enable their graduates to be able to become chief contributors in the data initiatives within the organization that they join. So this is how, you know, we try to bridge this gap, that we have created this certificate program um, in data science, and the idea is to provide our students with the complete scope of data science that's possible. So when I say complete scope, I mean starting from the Python, from the programming aspect, covering the entire data quality, data cleaning, the exploring the data scope, all the way to the predictive analytics part, where we teach the statistics behind the algorithms, as well as we teach the algorithms itself themselves, which allow you to generate predictions and be able to forecast on the data that you guys have available. So yeah, like our vision is to bridge this gap that has always existed between industry and academia, because honestly, industry has been collecting data since forever, and the data collection process has amplified in the last decade or so, simply because of the advent of advanced computing powers and technology and faster internet. But it, but initiatives like, you know, data literacy programs and analytics departments within the organization is something that is the missing piece within this entire puzzle, which will enable the industry to really take themselves to the next level, as well as the academic institutions to really you know, put more force in teaching more data driven courses to their students. So this is how we plan to step in, and this is how we aim to bridge this gap. Teaching these
I'm
guys
sorry, you're
form
breaking
the
up.
core of our organization.
Your voice is kind of breaking up.
Sure. Can you hear me now, Suhail?
Yeah, it's better now. Thank you.
Okay. So the teaching faculty, these guys form the people that you're seeing on your screen. These guys have been with FTI since day one. These guys form the basis of this institute, and without them, this institute would not have been able to achieve what we have been able to achieve over the course of last 1 year. So I would like, you know, our teaching faculty to give their own introductions when time permits. But just briefly walking you through their profiles, like cumulatively, these guys possess about roughly 15 years of experience teaching, as well as working within the field of AI, within the field of big data, science, and And starting off with our academic director, Dr. Saab, Dr. Tariq, he is currently working as the computer science within the computer science department at IBA in Karachi, and he's also leads the big data analytics lab within IBA. And he has worked with the industry as well, so he is kind of an excellent resource for us to provide us with the visionary guidance that our teaching faculty needs in order to take their courses, conduct their courses, as well as in terms of curriculum on a regular basis based on what is being required as part of the industry. Moving on, Abrar, he is with us today, and he will be the module instructor for the first module for his certification. And I would like him to give his detailed background and intro later in the conversation. But just briefly touching on his profile, so Abrar has been an analytics professional for the last 6 years. He's worked with multiple different MNCs, multinational corporations, both within Pakistan and outside of Pakistan. He is currently leading the projects, the data science projects initiative at a leading artificial intelligence consulting company based out of Pakistan. And yeah, he has a, so like, like how people often say, okay, data science is a very technical field and only people who have computer science background can do this. Abrar is the perfect example that it's actually false statement, because Abrar comes from a background which is completely non-technical. Like he has a BBA and MBA and he's currently one of the instructors at our institute, and he's doing a data science job at a leading organization in the country. So yeah, like, I would like Abrar to shed more light on this later on. But yeah, like for people who think that data science is only for people who have sound technical background, it's not true. Moving on, Sania, she will be the course instructor for our machine learning, one of our machine learning modules. And she herself is a machine learning engineer, and she's been working in the industry for the last 2+ years. She's an engineer from NED University, which is one of the leading engineering universities of the country. And she possesses very diverse and vast experience within the different clustering machine learning algorithms that we will learn over the course of this program. Then we have Usman Ali, who is currently pursuing his PhD in machine learning from IBA. He will be taking your forecasting module. And Usman is a seasoned professional. He has over 10 years of teaching experience, and most recently he joined the industry as well, just to get a sense of what's going on and how he can apply his data science or analytics knowledge that he's gained over the last 10 years within the industry. So he's just like accumulated about 2 years plus of experience in data science, leading data science teams in various research and industry projects. So yeah, he will be taking your time series and forecasting modules. Moving on, Ayman. She's the program manager at FTI. She's the first full-time employee at FTI, and she basically takes care of the Capstone projects. She takes care of our internship program, and she also takes care of our internal research projects. So Ayman will be taking one of our foundational machine learning modules, and she's with us today in the conversation, and I would like her to give her own background and story. But just touching base on her background, she is a recent graduate in engineering from Bilkent University in Turkey, and she has gathered project experiences for the last 1 year working within the field of data science. So anybody has any questions so far on anything that I have spoken about before I move on? I would like to keep this conversation very interactive, and as much interaction as possible I would appreciate. So yeah.
Hi, Konain. Sohail here. Just a question on the topic you talking about, a time series from stats. So what are the other topics you will be covering in this course? from statistics?
Great. So in terms of the topics that we'll be covering, I would like Abrar to shed some light on that. But just briefly touching upon them, we will be covering descriptive statistics, and we will be covering, we'll just be touching upon the various different distributions, statistical distributions, because, and that's all part of your second module, which is the EDA, Exploratory Data Analysis module. And we feel that it's highly important that we touch upon the statistics concepts, because those statistics concepts, they make up the core of all the machine learning algorithms that we'll be covering later in the course. So yeah, to answer your question in a nutshell, we will be covering probability distributions, statistical distributions, and more on that will be coming later from Abrar and as well as us from Ayman.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Hello. I just had a question about the first module. So when I looked at the course, it was about SQL and Python both. But the one that we got, the outline, they have like it's only about Python and not SQL. Like the first module, I'm talking about the first module.
Yeah, so let me answer that. The plan that has been shared is for the first 8 lectures that we will be going through. And the plan for this first month is to comprehensively cover the fundamentals of Python. Now, if we go, content related to SQL takes about 4 to 6 hours, right? Which is roughly about 2 classes, right? We recently changed the first module to include partly EDA so that there are connections made to the module which follows through, right? So the module 2 is all about EDA, but there are some concepts that have been included in module 1. As far as SQL is concerned, we will be taking out some time to cover that topic as well, right? For now, for the first month is focusing mainly on Python, right? We will definitely take out some time for SQL. For now, we're not sure where to cover it, because what we do is we continuously keep improving the course content, right? We take out some of the elements which are unnecessary so that we get more and more focused towards the right type of learning, right? So that's why we've taken out SQL for now. But we will definitely, during this certification, touch upon SQL and cover it. It's a 6-hour session that we need, and we will adjust it somewhere to cover that topic as well.
Okay, perfect. But are we going to do in the second module or like maybe later?
We'll let you know. The first month, as of now, so probably we'll get some extra classes done. So I didn't have a discussion. So this outline was purely made by me, the one that has been shared with you this morning. And I didn't have a discussion with Konain on it as well right now. I will have a discussion with him. And probably what we'll do is we'll take out some extra time during the course of this certification to do the 6-hour session on SQL, right? So rest assured, this topic will be covered during this certification, inshallah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Great.
Hello, assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Ji, am I audible?
Yes.
Sir, actually, I want to know how do you see data science scope in Pakistan for like after 5 year to 6 year? Which industries do you think will be hiring data scientists or data analysts in the future upcoming years?
So I would like to briefly, shed some light on that. So based on our conversation that we've had with the corporates based in Pakistan, because we've trained some of them through our certification. So the industries that are seeing the potential of data science and have already started implementing or working towards setting up their own data science or analytics divisions are AMCs, which are asset management companies, pharmaceutical companies, FMCGs. Then we have the professional services companies such as EY or PwC based out of Pakistan. Then we also have oil and gas sector, both like downstream and midstream. And I think that's as much as I know uh, the industries that have already started, setting up. The ones
So
that have already taken this initiative and have already running data science divisions. So those industries include financial services mainly, and the telcos, your Telenors, your Bharats, and your Ufos. Yeah.
so just
Abrar,
adding
if
on,
you would like to, yeah.
yeah, just adding on to that, it's so this kind of a this question, right? It's a similar kind of a question to when like asking a question like which of the industries will be hiring um, an HR professional or a sales professional. Why do I say so? Because data is in all of the industries, right? And people are beginning to understand the need to figure out that data because, yeah, so how industry changes happen, right? That a certain change happen, there might be some leaders and then other people catch up with it, right? So using data analytics, using data science is becoming a new norm, right? It's something which is becoming routine. So you will see that, so yeah, a higher trend is towards companies establishing their own data science departments as compared to companies. So there will be very few companies who will be focused towards data science only. Like the place
Mhm.
I'm working at, which is a data science consultancy firm, right? So it's just like a management consultancy firm, right? They are few in number, and a lot of the companies just look for those few consultancy firms to cater their needs. But most of the time, the management is done by the company themselves. So there is an increasing trend of dedicated data science teams appearing in the different companies, regardless of whatever industry you talk about. You talk about oil and gas, you talk about FMCG, you talk about distribution, you talk about um, education, everywhere, medicine, right? In all
Mm.
of the industries, even AKU. So Agha Khan University and hospital, they have started off a team in data science, and they're trying to work towards finding out solutions for health sector, right? So we'll touch upon various use cases related to medicine as well, such as drug discovery, cancer detection. So data science is coming in. So data by itself is a term which is a generalized term used not only for tables and tables of data, but also for all the digital content available, which is images, audios, videos, right? So just you look around, you will find you can think about applications everywhere. You go to a mall, you'll find applications of data science everywhere. You can look at CCTV footage to see if someone is bringing a gun to the mall, right? So there's a gun detection algorithm, right? You can look around, even in through CCTV footage, you can see that what kind of people are arriving to the mall, and you can do customer profiling, that what's the age bracket. So in the morning, probably old age people are coming to the mall to buy their medicines or other stuff, right? Because yeah, they don't go to a job, and most of the time they want the mall to be empty while they are visiting the mall, because yeah, they just want to be hassle free. And in the night, probably families are coming in the afternoon, probably there are people who are getting off from schools. So there are applications all across different industries. So the question itself, which industries, I think that's irrelevant. It's everyone. Everyone is going to hire uh, analytics and data science related professionals.
Yep, I
Great.
completely agree.
Thank you, sir.
Chale, there's another great question that has popped up in the chat, but I think uh, just wanted to say that there's a Q&A session at the end. This is a very short presentation. I just wanted to walk you through the the different structures of FTI, and then we're going to open the floor for questions. So just want to take a couple of questions in the middle. So moving on, Noman and Danish, I have noted down your questions, and we are going to address it towards the end of this presentation. Okay. All right. Moving on. So BODs. So that's me on the left. So basically, the point of showing this slide is we wanted to show the seriousness of this institute. Obviously, like, you must have gathered that or gauged that through the faculty, but the BODs, I mean, I wanted to share this slide because really the vision is not just one person's. It's a collective effort, both of the faculty, of the BODs, of our advisors, who you're going to see later on. So this initiative, I'm just the person who like, did the groundwork, but really it was a collective effort of everybody. And starting off, and then like there was our managing director who's based out of London, and she's currently working in AI and cognitive practice in Deloitte. She's leading the AI and analytics learning and development division there, and she has about 7+ years of experience, quality experience working within the data science and analytics divisions, like managing teams, running projects, and delivering on them. So she has provided us considerable output in terms of how can we structure our course to make it more relevant to the industry, not just in Pakistan, but elsewhere as well. And in terms of what algorithms do we need to cover, and how can we update our algorithms on an ongoing basis, what languages do we have to cover, Python programming and stuff, and so on and so forth. Followed by Adam. He was my professor at my alma mater in New York, and he's also part of the BODs, and he has been within the analytics risk management frame. He is currently the president at his auto insurance company called Bridger, which basically tries to streamline the claims processing within the auto insurance sector using artificial intelligence. And he has a bachelor's and a master's in mathematics, and he has provided us with a lot of scope in terms of how we can, uplift, upgrade, and streamline our course to make it industry specific, and how can we add value to the existing profiles of the students that are joining us for this course. So yeah, like just a brief overview of the BODs. Moving on to the advisors. So these guys, I mean, starting from Dr. Zaki. So as Abrar mentioned, healthcare is one of the core industry groups which is the biggest beneficiary of data science. And Dr. Zaki realizes it. And initially, when I first approached him to join us as part of our advisory group, he immediately jumped on this bandwagon because he knew the potential that data science, analytics, AI had to contribute towards the field that he is currently working in. And he has provided us with a lot of vision, a lot of direction. And really the point of our advisors is to help us provide with introductions with the industry, as well as the academic institutions, so that we can broadcast our vision for data science to as many institutions as possible. Moving on, Chaudhry Saab, Chaudhry Suhail is the is Data Science as Systems Limited. Systems Limited is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, software house based out of Pakistan. One of the pioneers in the software export business in Pakistan. Previously, he served as the head of data science and digital banking at Bank Al Falah. He's just a simple, CS graduate from past, but he boasts about 20 plus years of experience within this domain, and he has served in like 6+ countries within this domain. So he is one of the core, backbones of this institute, and he will also be one of the advisors to the capstone projects that you guys shall be doing later on in the course. Then we have Sana. She manages the PR efforts for us. She has about 7+ or probably 10+ years of experience within the training, communication, marketing, and so on activities. And she has really helped us to strengthen our relationship with the industry, because really we cannot grow the initiative of FTI without truly connecting with the industry, because eventually we want our students to be able to plug in effectively and efficiently with the industry. So she has been one of the key bridges in helping FTI to be as connected, as well connected as possible with the industry. Moving on, the most interesting slide of this presentation is the modules. So you guys have already asked a few questions around the modules. So starting off with the fundamentals, this will be the first module for a certification, where we'll be covering Python programming and SQL. I would like Abrar to share more on this, because he will be teaching this module. But just briefly touching upon this first module, the reason why we chose Python is because it's one of the programming languages of instruction when you're doing data science or any other analytics effort. And we chose Python over any other languages because it's the most popular programming language in the world, not just in Pakistan, in the world. I myself has experienced it firsthand during my time working in New York. Abrar himself has experienced it working at his existing company in Karachi and other places. So Python. So we'll be covering end to end, starting out from the fundamentals all the way to the advanced concepts of Python programming. We'll be covering that in this module. And don't worry if you don't have any prior background knowledge of programming or Python. We will be covering from scratch. So even if you have, or even if you don't have, you should be fine. The idea is by the end of this module, everybody to be on the same page, because the subsequent modules, which will be the ones that you see later, we will be doing all of those modules using Python. So it's highly imperative that you spend the most amount of time on this module, the most amount of effort on this module, especially you do not have any prior programming experience. Moving on, EDA. So here, this module that will be led by Usman. So this module really helps you prepare the data for the eventual predictive analytics that you guys are doing. EDA really covers the data quality matters that arise, the data governance matters, some outliers, detections, and as somebody mentioned from the audience, the descriptive statistics, the core behind the machine learning algorithms. So we will be covering, touching upon some of the statistical distributions that form the basis of the popular machine learning algorithms that we'll be covering in the future modules. So EDA, we'll be spending a whole month on it, just so that you guys know how to prepare the data from your initial source, be it video, be it text, be it CSV, be it tables format, how to make it ready to run the analytics, the predictive analytics on it. So this module will cover all of that. Then we move on to the supervised learning module. So this module will be covered by Ayman. And in this module, we will be covering classification techniques and regression techniques. So this module will be covering machine learning. This we call machine learning 1. And in this module, we cover the various different algorithms that form the classification, ensemble, and traditional techniques. More on this later from Ayman. She's part of this conversation, and she will shed more light on this module. Following that, we will be moving on to the unsupervised learning module, which is the clustering module. And this will be led by Sania. And in this module, we'll be covering the different various, we call this module machine learning 2. So we will be covering the various different clustering machine learning algorithms to do with customer profiling. So I'll give you an example. So for example, when you are looking at a data set where you would like to draw heat maps, right? Where you'd like to draw inference based on, how is this data segmented by, right? So you apply a bunch of these unsupervised learning algorithms. So let's say if you're looking at a bank data and you're trying to figure out how much of each customer is doing what in terms of the transactions. So a bunch of these algorithms apply, the unsupervised learning algorithms. Moving on, the time series forecasting module. This module will be led by Usman again, and that's his expertise as well in his PhD. So this module will be, we'll be learning how to conduct predictions with respect to time. So this is a very interesting module, and we can safely say that no other certification, at least in Pakistan, is covering this module. And we thought that this module is important based on the consultation from our BODs, BOAs, and our faculty, because time series forecasting is required in pretty much most of the industries. Like for example, if you want to do inventory forecasting, right? Sales forecasting, if you want to predict your oil futures, oil prices, you want to predict stock prices, all of these matters are important and are prevalent in not just in Pakistan but everywhere. So all of these predictions are done with respect to time. Obviously, there are other alternative factors that also form the basis of your decision making, and thanks to COVID, it has significantly become the case, but the foundation is still time-based prediction. So we'll be covering in profound detail the various different forecasting techniques with respect to time in the time series module. And this will be the last module of your certification. Moving on, the most interesting, the most important aspect of your certifications is a capstone project. So it's not a module, because this project shall be starting from the beginning of your third module, which is the supervised learning module. So the point of the capstone project is to ascertain that the skills you have learned over the course of your 5 months of the certification, you know it, and you have practically learned it. So how do we gauge that? Through this capstone project. So basically, the point of the capstone project is that we will be splitting the teams of 3, 4, or 5 people based on your backgrounds, your experiences, your contribution that you can bring to the table. You guys will be assigned a project manager from one of these guys, okay, the faculty members, and you will be assigned an advisor, one of these guys, the faculty, or one of the advisors. So the capstone project of a supervisor, a subject matter expert, which provides guidance in terms of how to take your project forward. Then you have a project manager that provides you with the deliverables and helps you to execute your project effectively and meet your goals. And essentially, you'll be working as a team. So this will be an industry project. So either if you're coming from industry, this is a perfect opportunity for you to try out your data set, anonymize it, and work on it, apply all these concepts on that data. Or we will provide you with a data set from our inventory, and we will provide you with some topics, and we will help you to build an industry project that you can showcase later on to your peers, to your bosses or your teachers later after the certification. So this is the most important aspect of our certification, the capstone project. And I really, really hope that everybody takes this particular aspect most seriously. Moving on, I mean, we're all, I'm assuming we're all university graduates. I mean, these are some of the housekeeping rules that I picked up from the playbook of a university. Each lecture will be held. So the lectures will be, we will be taking every weekend on Saturdays and Sundays. So upon initial discussion with you guys, we have set up the time to be 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. We have experienced a very diverse cohort this time. It's the most diverse cohort in terms of location, in terms of geography, to the cohorts that we've had in the past. And so we thought that it's during time that everybody can attend the lectures at their convenience without sacrificing on their sleep. So yeah, so the lectures will be taking place every Saturday and Sunday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So please log in 5 minutes before the lectures, because we plan to start promptly on time and we plan to end the lectures on time as well. Then moving on, we have a designated module instructor for each of our 5 modules. So you don't have to worry about knowing who's going to come next. That guideline will be shared with you eventually as we go along. So for our existing module Abrar, the first module, Abrar is the module instructor, and so we have designated instructors for each of our 5 modules. There will be a break because I know 3 hours is a lot of time, and you guys can get tired. We have experienced it in our previous 3 cohorts, so there will be a 10 to 15 minute break. You will be allowed a break for religious obligations, and so there will be a break. All of our lectures as part of the certification will be conducted live online, and for more information on any part of this particular point, we have shared the student policy, the Fti student policy document on your Google Classroom, so you can refer to that. Moving on, so just standard operating procedures during each of our class sessions. If you have a question, in order to maintain the decorum and ensure that everybody gets to ask their question and gets to clarify their please raise your hand using the feature that's available in Zoom. The instructor will realize that you've raised your hand using Zoom and will unmute your mic, and then you will be asked to turn on your video and ask your questions. The reason why we will ask you to turn on your video is because we want to create a very interactive experience and give our students as much of an on-site classroom experience as possible, despite the fact that we are based, thousands of miles away from each other, So yeah, please turn on your video and then ask your question or your query. Can you hear me now, Claire?
Yeah, we can hear you, but your voice is kind of intermittently, it's breaking up. Maybe people.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. We can continue.
So just to mention, if we're near Maghrib in Karachi right now in Pakistan. So if anyone who needs to take a namaz break, otherwise on regular sessions we'll take a 10 minutes break from 7:15 to 7:25. But now since we are it's near to the close, right? So if anyone who wants to pray, they can go and pray, right? So we can take
So
a
we
5
go on a
minute
break right now?
Yeah, I guess we should take, because otherwise we're going to miss our prayer, right? So
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, minute break.
Perfect.
Otherwise we can.
Yeah,
okay.
It's best we take a 5 minute break right now. Otherwise,
Perfect.
on regular sessions, so the Maghrib namaz is usually at around 7:15. So we'll take about 10 minutes break from 7:15 to 7:25, right? So you guys can just take a break for 5 minutes, and then I prayed. So I just took a break and prayed, but it's better that you guys also go. It's really near the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we can
And
gather back.
Konain, if I may suggest, this voice problem, why don't we, convert this meeting into the webinar meeting? I experience in webinar, we don't have that issue in my couple of meetings. If you want to try that, maybe that will work.
Certainly. Can you please share the link so that we can try it out internally first, and then before rolling it out, the webinar link?
It is the one with Cisco. That's what Cisco has developed.
So in webinar format, would there be the same level of interaction? Is there a lag? Because if there
No,
is
I
a
think in
lag,
webinar, actually, you have all the participants is kind of they'll be panelists, and host can make people panelists, and then they can talk. Otherwise, they'll be on a mute all the time.
I
so,
see. And it's
so
a
Zoom
feature
also has.
of Zoom, or is it a different application?
No, Zoom has an add-on feature. I don't know if you have the plan you have. You can add on feature for webinar, and then
Perfect.
after you have that feature, you can convert your meeting into webinar.
That's an excellent suggestion. Sure. We will look into that, because
Okay.
we have the licensed version of Zoom, the official FTI Zoom account. So I believe we should be able to add
Yeah, I think
that
because
webinar.
I was running meeting previously in the same method, and once the number of participants increase, this voice issue happened to us. So what we did, we talked to Zoom, and then they suggested you try this webinar feature, and it did work for us. So that's why I'm suggesting you can talk to Zoom and
Perfect.
find out. Yeah,
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much.
no worries.
Let's see who else we have in the participants. Danish, you have raised your hand. You have a question? Okay.
By the way, nice seeing.
Sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to ask, Konain, I wanted to ask you like something. So you started your career with investment banking, but then how did you like join the data analytics like department or like career? Like how are they linked? I am unable to understand that.
It's the work-life balance, man. I mean, it's for me. So it's really personal, because I cherish having to work, but then having to have my personal time that I can spend with my friends or family, give to them. And I did for a year investment banking. I was working as a sell-side advisor. I was working as within the mergers and acquisitions department. And what I realized was they were working like, for lack of a better word, animals, right? Like even though I was working for a middle market bank, it was not a big, one of these big high street banks. Um, but still, I was working about 12-hour to 13-hour days. And I realized that since I'm just starting out my career, if I continue to, slug off like that, I will not be able to identify if this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, or if there's anything else that might attract me in terms of my career decision making. So when I was graduating, as I was graduating grad school, there were two careers that uh, a lot of people used to talk about. One is the banking, of course, and then the other was the consulting career. And my sister, Behjat, she was already working as a consultant at Deloitte, and she used to talk very highly about her job, and she was working within the data science domain. So I did my bachelor's and master's in actuarial science. So very data-driven fields, very number-centric fields. So I always had a peculiar interest for that. So upon hearing, what she had to contribute and say in her job, I realized that perhaps this is something that I should try at some point. So, and also because I was not liking the hours that I was putting in at my existing job as a M&A advisor, I realized that, it's high time that I do the switch now, because eventually if I do it late, I might just be labeled as an investment banker, and then I won't be able to switch as easily, because it happens as you move along in your career. And if you don't make quick decision regarding what you want to do, you end up becoming that person. And then if you apply for another job, they would look at you and they would think, oh, you just did like 7 years of like banking, so you may not be a good fit for like uh, for a particular kind of role. So yeah, I just made the switch, and I honestly can guarantee you that uh, it was the one of the final career choices that I made in my life, in terms of like from changing from banking to consulting, because my consulting job allowed me the freedom to work to explore different industries. My consulting job allowed me to work on uh, a new field, data science and analytics, which is something that I started enjoying a lot as time went on. And the work-life balance was always there. So yeah, so I hope this kind of clarifies my reason for switch.
But like investment banking would also give you an experience in like exploring different industries, no?
It does, but from a research standpoint, I would say, not from the execution standpoint, because what I was thinking was that like in consulting, I was the interim CEO for that project, right? Like, for example, I worked in financial institutions, rolling out analytics projects, right? So I was working from within that company, within that organization, and I was fully aware of their issue, their problem, right? And we were working on developing a solution for their problem, right? So we were interacting with their teams, different team stakeholders. Within investment banking, it's mostly about like at least the one that I tried, the M&A bit. You were just helping our a buyer to buy, to acquire a target, and we were just helping them uh, find the ideal price, what the market is like, based on what the market is saying about that company, and what are the different uh, targets or like companies that are available for the investor to buy. So I really thought that investment banking was not was very high level. It was not really working from within the organization and really working on solving the problems that the organization was facing. And really, I found that element when I started working as a consultant, especially data science, because that was a new field, and you could, if you could propose a solution to a client, a data-driven solution, that was, one of the best things that you can tell them. So yeah, like, I mean, I did not think twice. I still do not think that I made the wrong choice. I think for me, at that time, it was the best decision. And, I'm glad that I took that decision. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Ayaz? Yes, Ayaz, you have raised your hand.
Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
जी वालेकुम सलाम.
Your voice is a bit too low. As your volume is a bit too low.
Hello.
Still it's too. Still it's too low.
Hello. Hello. Now.
Yeah,
Now.
now it's better. Perfect, perfect. Go ahead.
Actually, I want to know the roles and responsibilities of data scientist.
Should I take that question, Konan?
Yes, yes, please. I'll just be right
Yes.
back.
So that's part of the first lecture, right? I'll go right away, and when we get to that slide, we'll skip it. So when we talk about data science, it's yes, getting insights from data, right? Which are whatever data we have. Now, data by itself is also a very broad term now, because as I said, we have tables, we have images, audio, video, anything that has gone digital, documents as well, right? Sensors, sensors, they also feed in data related to vibrations, temperature, right? So in a typical company, now we'll discuss in this first session the different roles that are available in this field. So data science is an umbrella field where you'll have different kinds of roles available. Now, one is, yes, you'll see that this data scientist role is being posted as a job in different companies, right? Now, uh, so a data scientist is a combination of three fields, which is computer science, statistics, and business knowledge, right? So when you combine all this, so you'll find very rare people, rare resource in this field who are good in all these three fields, right? So that's considered a unicorn, right? There will be very few, right? They are probably leading some innovations in different companies or heading data science, right? They know about business, right? They are good with business concepts. They excel in programming as well, and they have good statistical knowledge as well. Most of the time that doesn't happen, so you might have people who are good in programming and business knowledge, but they have less statistical terms, right? You might have people who have good statistical knowledge and are kind of good in business, but they have less programming skills. Or you have people who have focused themselves mainly towards one particular field, like computer science. So a lot of the people you'll get, majority of the people are having a background of computer science. They excel in programming and coding, but they have less knowledge about business and less knowledge about stats, right? Majority of the resources are like that. But if you're investing yourself in this field, you should try to excel in all of these three fields. Learn as much as possible about these three fields, right? Especially stats and business knowledge, because as we learn that the programming part is becoming more and more easier, because you're coming up with there are tools, there are different frameworks that are available, which are eliminating code, right? Which means that you can execute machine learning solutions through even drag and drop and click methods as well, right? In this course, we will be focusing on coding as well, so that you do understand the inner framework. Even so, at the front, there might be a UI based tool, but you need to understand what's happening at the back. So that's why we'll be focusing on Python and Jupyter notebooks, where you have to code to understand what's going on. So the different kinds of roles which are available, yes, there is data scientist who understands business, who works with business, who has good programming skills, who has good statistics skills. But then that role comes with experience, right? You can only become a data scientist at least after 4 to 5 years of experience, right? Then only you can lead a team of data analysts. Now, data analyst can be considered as an entry level field, right? So when you start off in your career in data science, you enter it as a junior data analyst. Now, a junior data analyst, his skill sets are that he knows data, how to handle data. He knows a bit of Python, a little bit of SQL, and he can combine different data sets, summarize them using Python. You know, the things that you do in Excel, like making pivot tables and summarizing, aggregating data, calculating some statistical measures, all of that he can do in Python, right? He can write scripts in Python or in R, right? So that's a junior data analyst. He has around 1 or 2 years of experience, right? But as he gets more and more experience, he becomes a data analyst or a senior data analyst, right? And as he moves on into, so after getting 4 or 5 years of experience, a senior data analyst basically starts working with predictions, right? He starts using machine learning models, algorithms to make some predictions, and also starts doing some complex work related to code. After that, then you have the data scientist who has 4 to 5 years of experience and has some skills in predictions and has had some experience in, so that he understands what are the challenges and issues related to predictions. What are some business related ground realities that he can tie in those predictions with. You know, so yeah, even if a model is giving you 90% accuracy, 95% accuracy, he can take that with a pinch of salt, a little bit of caution that, you know, this prediction might not be realistic based on the business concepts. So that maturity comes with time, that experience comes with time. Besides these now, so yes, there is a herd mentality right now going on that a lot of the people are focusing mainly towards predictions and data science, but then there are also very niche roles as well in this field, such as people who handle big data, right? So there are separate teams in data science firms, as well as teams that, you know, there are people who especially work with handling huge volumes of data, right? So they probably would know more about data infrastructures, right? Database infrastructures, and that knowledge goes much more than SQL. So there are infrastructures related to NoSQL databases, right? You have MongoDB, you have Neo4j, you have you have big data infrastructures like Hadoop, right? So people who are proficient in that can carve in their own career in just handling big data, right? And then there are people who are specialists in cloud computing, you know, people who know well about Amazon Web Services or about any other cloud such as Microsoft Azure. There are certifications related to that field as well. So data science now is becoming more and more of a generic. So and then there's another branch of business intelligence, right, where you have tools like Power BI, ClickView, Tableau, and then, you know, you have data warehousing related to business intelligence, where you generate automated scripts where raw data or transactional data is summarized into more meaningful and insightful data, which can then be plugged into dashboards to give insights to uh, management to do decision making. So if you look at, it's like a tree, right? And you select your path where you want to go, right? Whichever field you like, right? So you can focus on that area. Probably, you can carve out your career by working in all of these different roles. And at the end of the day, when you are a 15-year plus experienced professional, you can then become a VP analytics or a chief information officer of a company, heading off analytics of the company, right? So there's a lot of trial and error also involved, just like any other career in marketing or sales or finance, where you plug in different roles, you experiment with different job responsibilities, and you find your own sweet spot where you want to go. Where I found my sweet spot is that I try to connect between the developers and the business, because yes, the technical people, if you need people who, so I'm not trying to downplay people who are developers or technical guys. We need people who excel in programming and coding, right? But human mind can only focus in certain areas, right? So if you focus a lot on technical side, you do excel in that, but then you end up understanding less and less of business, right? You need people like me who can understand business from the client, and the client by himself might not understand the developer side or the technical side, right? So you need people like me who marry the two, who connect the two, serve as the bridge, right? So it's up to you which side you want to be. You want to be fully technical, focusing on either one of the branches, cloud computing, big data, or data science, which is purely into predictions and stuff, or you want to do project management like me, or you want to be from the business side who's leading analytics from the business, right? So there can be a marketing lead leading marketing analytics in a company, or you can be a finance lead leading financial analytics from another company, or you can be a sales lead leading sales analytics in a company, or HR analytics. So, these branches are coming in from all the different areas. It's up to you where you find your position. Right now, some people have raised their hand. There are 3 participants. Let's see, I'll call their names out. Ayaz, you have a question. Still the voice.
Abrar, I think let's keep the questions for towards
Sure.
the end of the presentation, because
Perfect.
though we just have 2 more slides to go.
Let's go.
So yeah, I think everybody's here with us. This session is recorded, so for the people who have missed out or may miss out, we're gonna put it on the Google Classroom. Just like quickly wrapping up this slide. Um, so Zoom sessions, raise your hand, turn on your video, and engage with the instructor, engage with the students, and we're just trying to create a as much as possible interactive classroom experience as possible. That's why turning on your video is highly encouraged. uh, your mics will be muted during the sessions because we don't want to run the risk of hearing what's going on behind the scenes in your like wherever you guys are based. So yeah, your mics will be muted, and instructor will turn on the mic as soon as you raise your hand to ask any query, or if the instructor would like to ask you a question, he or she will turn on your mic and then you can speak. Finally, we have uploaded 3 documents on the Google Classroom so far: the syllabus, the course outline for the first module, which is not complete because we still have to put in the SQL part in it. As Abrar mentioned, he's going to mention it in detail later on. And finally, the Fti Student Policy. I encourage all of you who will be staying with us in this next 5 months to please go through each and every of those documents in thorough detail, because what we've experienced is from our past 3 cohorts is that and the reason why we have this student policy is that people at times start to like their seriousness start to diminish just because they think it's just a certification, right? But honestly, like, our instructors and everybody at FTI is putting 100%, right? So we expect the same from you, because the amount of uh, engagement, student teacher engagement, the amount of insights, the amount of uh, you know um, like uh, like oversight that you're going to get from our institute, it's unparalleled. So we really expect you to go through the student policy doc, so that like where we're coming from and how much we care about our students, and therefore we want you guys to succeed, and therefore we have put together this policy. Syllabus is just to highlight the different aspects of the different 5 modules that we have. So it's just like an overview of that, and course outline is like what we will be covering in each class. Moving on, cohort engagement form. Okay, so the objective of this certification is not just to share data science knowledge with you. The objective is to exceed your expectations, right? And since it's not a like a graphic designing certification, which is like common. This is a data science certification, which is novel in its own right. Be it you're based in Canada or you're based in Pakistan. So we want to let you talk to us in terms of why you have signed up for this course, what you aim to achieve or hope to achieve from this course, and how can we, and therefore we need to figure out through those answers, how can we facilitate you guys. Okay, so the purpose of this cohort engagement form is that we're going to be sharing with you, three simple questions. Just tell us about your backgrounds and experiences, tell us why you signed up for this course, and tell us what you aim to accomplish towards the end of your certification. By looking at your responses, we'll be able to identify the different kinds of capstone projects that we can put together for your cohort, the different kinds of data sets that we have to use for each of your modules, because we're not like gonna run the same data sets that we ran in our previous three cohorts, because the backgrounds and experiences may differ from your backgrounds and experiences and expectations. Therefore, we want to give you guys a tailor-made experience, right? And therefore, we have put together this cohort engagement form with you, so that you talk to us, let us know like what you hope to achieve, so that we can identify the same data sets and give you the relevant projects to work on. Link for this cohort engagement form will be shared via the WhatsApp group by me tonight or like later today. And the deadline for submission is the coming Tuesday, end of day. So based on whichever region you're based in, the midnight of that Tuesday is your deadline. So please fill it with as much honesty and as much detail as possible, so that we know where you guys are coming from and where we need to go with you guys.
Konain, I have a question.
Yes.
Good to see you though. So would you be like able to share the capstone project that the last cohort did? Like, is it like universal या हर group के लिए एक अलग-अलग capstone project allot किया गया था?
So the capstone projects, well, every group had their own capstone project, and we put together the capstone by reviewing the responses of the cohort engagement form. And basically the point is that the capstone project, it's a team project, right? So we look at, so the team requires different sets of skill, right? And therefore we try to formalize the teams having as much diversity of skills as possible, so that everybody can learn from each other, right? Because you don't want to put too many of the same skill set kind of people in one group, because you want to give others a chance to learn from them and them a chance to learn from the others. So to answer your question, the capstone projects in the previous modules, they were all different, and they have been different, they've been varying from cohort to cohort, and the teams for each of those projects were formed on the basis of the students' cohort engagement form.
All right, thank you. Sahi.
Hamza, Khalid, you're asking, is there final project of every module or one final projects for all modules? So there's going to be one capstone project for the entire certification. Okay? So,
Sir, can I answer this question?
yes, please, Ayman, go ahead.
So basically, we have one small project that's like the final hands-on exam. So that is module specific. So that really tests what you have done in the module, and that is same for everyone in the batch. But the capstone is different. It is a sum of all. It's a sum of all the things that we do in all the modules. So we start from the third module. So by then you would be having enough knowledge to to get started with your own data science kind of project, and then we take it for third module we do the EDA, then the fourth module we use the supervised learning, and then in the fifth module we do the evaluation, and if it is time series implementation, then we also do that in the fifth module. So that's the capstone that is going to continue from the third module, and it will end in the fifth module. And then the final projects that we have, those are the final exams that are practical exams, that are take-home exams that you have to submit. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have one question that on internet I have seen that R programming is also included for data science. So what?
Okay, so basically R is very similar to Python, and R has less of capabilities than Python has, especially when it comes to machine learning. R does not really support extensive libraries like Python does for machine learning. So R does cover, so Python covers both the things that are covered in R. So R as well as the machine learning algorithm. So Python is more relevant to when you come to machine learning. R is more like of a statistical tool. So there's nothing that you can do in R that you cannot do in Python, but there may be things that you can do in Python that are not possible in R because the library does not, but it does not support it. So yeah.
Okay, so it's not important to learn R programming for data science.
No, it
Python
is
can
not.
cover it all.
Yeah, exactly. If you know Python, so R is not a requirement. So because R was a tool that was developed before Python, so many of the people still work on it. But like for the new people who are coming into data science, they usually prefer that they know Python. R is kind of going like back now. Like, matlab, it's not that common. It is very common because old people know it, but those people who are learning new things, they're usually starting with Python because it has a larger community help and like it's more specific to machine learning and data science.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you,
Hello,
Ayman.
I have a question.
Yes. Can you please introduce yourself as well?
My name is Rehan. I have a question regarding the certification. That is this certification accredited by any known body? Like, is it certified? Like, Coursera is also giving a professional certificate in data science, which is accredited by IBM. So I want to ask that, is that also like to any known body?
Okay. So I would like to answer that. The one-word answer is no. And the certification that you're talking about, it's actually not, Coursera is not a body that provides you certification. It's IBM who's providing you that certification. And since IBM is not an academy, it's not an institute, it's a technical consulting company. They use Coursera as a platform to broadcast their educational endeavors, right? So just like IBM became IBM and started offering a certification, and now people think it's IBM certification, so if we take it, we are valid. FTI is on the similar trajectory, right? We have we just launched a year ago, and we hope to get to that level eventually one day. So that so just like IBM certification is not accredited by any particular body, our certification is not accredited by any particular body, and the simple reason being that it's just a certification to upskill your existing credentials. Okay. And we do have this vision of eventually getting accredited by the Higher Education Commission in Pakistan, right? So that we can start offering masters and PhD programs eventually. But since it's a certification, the idea is that you just need to know how to get the work done, so that when you go to right, they will look at your degree credential to ensure that you meet the minimum criteria. After that, you will just be asked, can you do this or can you do that? So it's like, so that cannot be validated through a degree. That will only be validated with the amounts, with the numbers of, with the applications that you've done. So yeah, so we are not an accredited, this is not an accredited as such certification. It's just a certification that allows you to upskill your existing credentials, just like IBM's certification is offering. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
no problem. Okay, cohort engagement form is clear with everybody, right? I'll be sharing that link with you, inshallah, by today. And please fill it, send it to us by Tuesday. Thank you. Finally, student communication. Okay, so it's very clear. It's very streamlined as well. So we have one WhatsApp group. Everybody is already a member of that. We've added everybody who's going to be part of this cohort. So you can use that WhatsApp group as a virtual notice board. So we will be communicating with you guys through the WhatsApp group, like anything, like job related, events related, um, class timing related, sharing the links to any particular events or our classes and so on and so forth. And also you can use the WhatsApp group as a platform to concerns among your fellow students. Um, so, Noman, I'm going to take your question towards the end of this slide. This is the last slide, and then we're going to move on to the questions part. So, please just bear with us. Thank you. And then moving on, the Google Classroom. So, the Google Classroom has been created. So, it's like a virtual classroom, right? So, this will contain everything from your recorded video lectures in case you've missed a live one. It will contain your final exams, both in class that you have to give, or the take-home final exams that you have to submit within a week, your homework assignments, your quizzes, and your grade reports, your progress reports, right? Everything, as well as your capstone project stuff. So everything, all the course materials and everything, all the submissions related stuff, including your submissions, will be done through Google Classroom. So the code has already been shared by Ayman through the WhatsApp group. Please do join it as soon as possible and review whatever is up there, uploaded there, so that when we start the module, inshallah, from today, everybody has taken care of the logistics part of the certification. Finally, just casual stuff, like informal stuff. We have a Facebook group called FTI Village. It's like a community for people who are interested in data science, and um, yeah, it's a community for people who are interested in data science and in like machine learning and stuff. So people who are part of our existing cohort, our alumni, as well as anybody else, they're all part of this group. Finally, you can find us on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as Twitter. And so there we post a bunch of different kinds of updates. So if you want to really stay on top of what's happening at FTI and what other initiatives we're taking and what other collaborations we have been establishing, or what other industry projects we have been working towards, everything and anything related to life at FTI can be found on these social media platforms. Finally, if you have anything that you would like to communicate that you think cannot be shared on the group, please share that via the email. So I have direct access to this email, queries@frontiertechnologyinstitute.com. So the queries, anything that you would like to discuss pertinent to the program that you would not like to otherwise share on the social media groups or like on WhatsApp group, please email it to me through this group, through this email, and we will address it as soon as possible. Finally, we have this contact number. So you can, WhatsApp, call, SMS on this. And for urgent inquiries, if something that it's a burning issue that needs to be addressed ASAP, and you think any other forum is like, might take time, you can please feel free to call, message, or WhatsApp on this number. With that, we end our wonderful and brief presentation. So now we will be taking on your questions formally. So before we move on, I would like to take the question from Noman first. So Noman is asking, please give some comments on his question about the depth of stats that we will cover in this course. So I did give you a brief overview. So Abrar, if you're still with us, can you please shed some light on this?
Yeah,
In more
I'll
detail?
take that.
Yeah.
So the amount of stats required for data science is huge, right? And it goes from simple to advanced level. The simple stats being the measures of central tendency, the distributions, and slight concepts related to the algorithms, right? Now, when you talk to our faculty as well, uh, you talk to Usman Saab and you talk to Sania, they're doing specialization in some of the areas of data science, right? When you refer to books as well, right? There are separate, so there are fields that have branched out as separate fields within data science, right? So there are specialists coming up which are in deep learning, which are in image processing, or there are specialists in neural networks, right? So if you go to the level of stats that they go to, right? So that's immense. You know, the amount of content to cover is immense. So we realized that in this, so this certification is supposed to familiarize you with the basic concepts of data science, right? Lay the foundations, do the brickwork, right? And that is why we've kept the stats at a simple basic level, which can be a little less than the A-level stats, right? So yes, A-level stats also includes huge amount of coverage on hypothesis testing and probability and statistics, right? That we won't be covering probability, we won't be covering a lot of the technicalities related to hypothesis testing. But yes, what we'll be covering is the concepts which are in the regular uh, language of this field, right? On a regular basis, when you get a data set, you do some investigations on that data, right? That if there are 10 columns in that table, what is the distribution of each of the columns? What is the issue related to each of those columns, and how you can treat that using statistical means, right? In what cases should you replace missing data with mean? In what case you should replace it with median or use the mode, right? What are the different types of variables that you have? There are categorical variables, there are text, there is numerical, so integer, decimal. So, you know, that by its, what we realized, even this basic that we cover is by itself overwhelming, right? You can have, so we do cover concepts related to regression, right? We do cover concepts related to the different kinds of distributions of data, right? That by itself uh, categorizes as the basic level, you know, the regular data science level fundamentals, right? We can have specialized statistics related certifications in the future, right? So should you choose to return to FTI for any other course, we can offer intermediate and advanced level stats as well. But for now, I guess our audience, you know, our target market for now is to develop this skill set from the ground, right? And to do it right. And to do it right, you need to have the fundamental brickwork done properly. We've seen people who are good in programming, but they are missing the basic concepts about distributions of data, and they miss out on that. So we will be covering, if you say from level 1 to 10 stats, we will be covering till level 4, right? We won't be going too much advanced on stats.
Mhm.
I would like to add something, but what I think is that it is enough that even if we go to level 4, for people who want to know more, it is enough. And if they have the actually the statistical background, yeah, a very technical background from before, like in mathematics, they can take up from that level 4 to they can do their own learning as well. So I think we have that kind of base to make them motivated enough to learn those things that if they have that kind of background from before, so they can go ahead with that learning. And I think we all have that kind of support that we can support them with it. Like if there are people who want to specifically go into the coding of the model, then obviously we can't deal them like with the class, because everyone would may not have that sound kind of mathematical knowledge. But if there are people like that, so we can facilitate them, like we do have the faculty that can facilitate them. So yeah.
And you see this, so data science skill set is something which is, which takes about 3 to 4 years to completely learn, right? Or even, you know, to be aware that how much less you know about it, right? So this 6 month certification uh, is going to take away that mystery out of this topic. You know, you would be able to decipher the language of data science. You'll be able to understand. So it will open up opportunities of further learning for you. But this field by itself is a field where you have to continuously learn. So you have to continuously keep reading on statistical concepts. You have to continuously, so you know, the Python is an open source language, right? And it keeps enhancing itself. So the community out there is developing new libraries or enhancing existing libraries every day. So you'll have to keep yourself updated even after this certification on what's coming up and what are the new concepts coming up, what are the new trends coming up, and keep updating yourself. So you know, this certification is just to spark your journey towards data science. It can help you transition your career towards data science, right? So this is just to chart out the entire map in front of you, that what data science is all about, and where you can go forward from here.
Great. Next question we have, we're going to take one more question from the chat, and then we have 3 people who've raised their hands. So Suhail Akhtar, he is asking, is there a professional body for data science? For example, PMP cert, they have a PMI body. So in my personal and humble opinion, I do not think there's a professional body that certifies data science education. There are professional degree programs, MS level, and perhaps now at BS level as well, that are being offered by prestigious universities all around the world. But in terms of short-term certifications like ours, I, in my personal opinion, do not think that there is any one professional body. Like, for example, CFA Institute, you know, validates CFA. Institute of Actuaries validates, you know, the actuarial qualification. So Abrar and Ayman, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. So Ayman, you want to go ahead or?
No, you can go ahead. I don't have thoughts on that.
Okay. So this, so you can't compare it to project management, especially because PMI, what they have done is they have created, now there's PMI from, I guess, Canada, and there's Prince2 from UK, and they have formalized how to conduct a project, right? Now, this project can be a data science project. This project can be you know, when you're building a dam or you're building a software house, you know, or an ERP solution. The concepts of project management are kept as generic as possible, right? Anything that comes close to related to analytics is IBAP, IBAP. So there's a certification related to, so I'll share the links, right? So there's an ICAP is the International Certification of Analyst Professionals, right? So there is a body which follows a similar structure as compared to PMI, right? So how you should do analysis, you know, so there's a data science life cycle as well. They focus on that life cycle, right? Most of the time, how you should, so there's some noise coming up. What I would request you guys is to just put your mics on mute. So Hasnan Khalid, I've been, yeah. So you need to please keep your mic on mute. So yeah, so what's happening is there are different, so ICAP is a certification which follows a little similar structure as compared to PMI, and they have this syllabus similar to the data science lifecycle, which we'll cover in lecture 1. Which is about how to approach analysis, how to understand business, how to document, and how to go about gathering data and having an analytics plan, right? But then again, that will not give you any knowledge related to data science, right? Because it won't go into the specifics, it will just talk about the generic. There's another body, Informs, which talks about statistical models, how to build a statistical models. But then again, it won't give you the specific technical knowledge that you need to do data science, right? To do analysis, to do machine learning. the way this field is expanding, there are new areas being discovered every day. So you might see a new course coming up either on DataCamp, edX, Coursera, and the model followed or the approach followed is very different from, you can say, established fields like project management. So it's, as we've also, when we started this initiative of FTI, one thing that we uh, talked about to our initial candidates were that we focus more towards skill-based learning rather than a degree-based learning. And that's the kind of learning which is gaining traction. As you've seen during COVID, educational institutes which are established are losing ground in front of people who are just appearing online and teaching skill sets. So even Google, it's going to launch a few certifications which are going to be not that expensive, right? Now, even online courses related to data science, you can see there's a, a certification launched by Georgia Tech, which is like a $10,000 course, right? So that's an expensive course. But then the thing that's being debated right now is there a need now to go to an accredited, recognized institution? Because now in this field, what matters more is a skill, right? Even if you are from an accredited institution, it's not really given that you have that skill set. If you can display that skill set, so even in my company where I'm working, there are people who have not done their graduation, they haven't even done their bachelor's, but they have that skill set which is required to do the kind of job that was required, right? So they've done some online courses, a huge amount of online courses, right? And they have read books. They're always reading books, right? And they're always doing experiments on online labs or Kaggle or something. So this field is more, the mindset is very different than other established fields, right? We need to focus more towards skills, and where you can gather those skills. What should be you learning next? When you've done your certification, by the end of the certification, you should have a plan in your mind that what next should you target to learn. Should you experiment with images, or should you experiment with other platforms available like Colab, Google Colab, or Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services, doing machine learning in those frameworks. You would see that there are free open source frameworks available like RapidMiner. What to experiment on, where to focus on. And the best thing is that you can guide yourself by looking at the job postings that are coming up, and the kind of skill sets they require, and focus to gain those skill sets by yourself. So this field is governed by a very different kind of mindset, as compared to other established fields like finance or project management. You can't have that structure here.
Agreed. And really, just one more line on that is that really this certification will provide you the platform, the foundational platform on which to build your data science and analytics structure. So if you're coming from absolutely no background of data science and analytics, this is the certification that you should, look forward to. And even if you have prior experience in like data analysis, simple Excel based data analysis, you can brush up and you can learn the more advanced analytics concepts through the certification. Acha. Next we have, let's take one from the audience, right? From the people who've raised their hand. So Fahad, please go ahead and I'll unmute you. So please go ahead and ask your question. Fahad, you've raised your hand.
Hello. Am I audible right now?
Yeah.
All right. Apologies earlier for opening the video by mistake. My question is firstly from Sir Abrar that by the end of this this certification course, do you think that the students will have
Your voice broke down, Fahad. Um, A little, it was broken still, but you can continue talking and I'll let you know. Can't hear you. You can type in your question if you want.
Is it audible now, or
Yeah, yeah.
I'll just type in my question then.
No, no, it's audible. You can just speak. You should type.
Ali Faruqi,
Yeah.
please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, assalamu alaikum everyone. My question is just related to what I just typed. I know, like briefly, Abrar was mentioning that this is more of like an introductory data science than, so it's very shallow learning than really deep learning. And my question is like, will we be touching on the hypothesis testing and Z testing and some other models like CVL models? I know CVL models is some of the job interviews that I went, I was grilled on CVL models. So I was wondering if you guys will be touching on that.
Okay, can I answer this? Because
Sure.
this is a question that has been asked a lot. So this will be covered in detail in the EDA module. Like we do ANOVA, we do chi-squared, like chi-square testing, because you guys, I think, have a lot of concern about the hypothesis. So like if you want me to go into the details, I can, but there are different ways to test the hypothesis. So we are going to go in every way. Like for continuous variables, what are the ways to test it? Continuous to continuous, numeric to continuous, numeric to numeric. So all those different ways to test hypothesis we will learn. These Z test and P test we do for outliers, Z scores, and all these things we do. And CVL models, it is enough to build the base for the CVL models as well. So yeah. And we do like other models as well, where you can choose the features from. And yeah, even like there are models like PCA and stuff. You can do those models after what we have covered. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, we covered these things in detail, all of the hypothesis testing in EDA. Like there are particularly classes that are devoted to these topics and labs that are devoted to these topics. Yeah.
Thank you, Ayman. Kevin, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. I wanted to ask more about the data science course that you're going to be doing. Is it, oh no, not this one, but then do you offer any other that is more advanced than this one, that includes stuff that is related to university stuff?
So I would just like to comment very simply, and then I would like to pass it on to Ayman and Abrar. So this course is more advanced than the one that is currently being done at university, especially if you are coming from a computer science background. This is the next step in that. In terms of the masters in data science programs, I'm sure they go in more detail, in much more depth in that, simply because they have more time and it's a dedicated degree program. But in terms of the detail, the university programs, this is either at par or more advanced than the university. Ayman or Jar, if you would like to comment.
Yeah, for now we are not offering.
Okay, I think comment.
Sure, go ahead.
So, for instance, like you are talking at an undergraduate level of university or a master's level of university, that matters. And for instance, at an undergraduate level, if you take courses, as Sir Abrar has already mentioned in detail, like for instance, I have taken courses like statistical learning and machine learning and probabilistic learning. In those courses, it was important for us to know these stats by heart and to understand how the models are built. So but the thing is that that kind of knowledge is important for you if you go in if you want to do research and stuff and later into machine learning models. So our aim was somewhat like we wanted to create data scientists that could actually work in the industry and have a sufficient understanding of the models. For a deeper understanding of the models, and I come from a technical background, that's electrical and electronics engineering. So that was easier for me to understand those courses, and those were courses that were being offered at our fourth year, and those were elective courses. So those were advanced in this course in terms of the mathematics, but in terms of the algorithm coverage, they were same. So yeah, so that is what I'll say about it. So like I got more familiar with the application in FTI rather than there. There it was more about the my mathematical base is strong from there, and that I can understand from there. But like the application base is something that the practice and the application is better over here than at the university you can get. Yeah. So Sir Abrar, you can continue on.
So, in terms of the offering, uh, I guess this course helps you. Again, it's the groundwork, right? Uh, when you talk about advanced level, right? From this point onwards, the advanced level is kind of, uh, you can say, fragmented, because then people have to focus on certain areas of data science. So when we talk about advanced, probably then there has to be uh, specific topics that need to be covered, such as neural networks or recommender systems, right? Now, in certain cases, what happens is when you do a capstone, there are assignments, there is content related to that advanced level. For instance, one of our group members are working on time series, right, which is sales forecasting. So their project is sales forecasting, and while covering sales forecasting, they ended up learning advanced statistical concepts related to time series, such as ARIMA model, right? And Facebook Profit is another algorithm available which you can use to do sales forecasting. And then, using multiple time series to do analysis, right? So that comes partly in Capstone, but then uh, you know, we try to cover as much of the general part of data science. From there on, it's also a little too specific. There have been talks about even electives at certain times, or specific webinars related to specific concepts, which may come, right? But we try to do data science as, holistic as possible, as comprehensive as possible, right? And when you look at the content available online, content available in different programs, where you talk about masters in data science, you'll see that our content is at par with the content available there. The thing is, we don't squeeze in more because it has to be a 6-month program for us, right? If we squeeze, even with the current content available, people do get overwhelmed, right? At times we have to slow ourselves down to help them cope up. At times we have to arrange extra classes with the kind of content that we have, right? So with this 6-month window, we can do as much. But yes, as Konain also talked about, we have plans to even launch a master's, other organized, structured programs specifically related to data science. When we go into that, when we shift in that gear, we will be having furthermore meat in this content, which we have deliberately kept at bay. That we have tried to we have tried to keep so it goes on priority. It goes on the value that we attach to a certain piece of content, right? We have forced this boundary so that we can cover the entire content. And, instead of promising something more and then covering less, we try to promise something less and cover more in that regard. Give more value on what we've promised, right? So even the current content is overwhelming for the 6 months that we have.
Exactly. And honestly, data science, it's like a rabbit hole, and eventually you'll find out how true the statement is as you go along the certification. So the deeper you go, the more concepts you realize that you can know, right? And therefore, what we have tried to do, as Abrar and Ayman mentioned, that we have created this foundational base for you to sort of build on your analytic structure. And we upgrade our course on a regular basis, right? Like based on what's being the hot topic in the industry. And what, and therefore we just upgrade our algorithms, we upgrade our, teaching capacity as we go along. So it's a very intuitive and I would say interactive course. And yeah, like it's a very, it's a rabbit hole.
I
Moving
have one
on,
another thing to add to this.
yes.
Basically, if we because this is a course that is accessible to all people from all backgrounds. If we go into a lot of detail with something, as Sir Abrar has already mentioned, and I have experienced this myself from the last 3 cohorts, sometimes it becomes too overwhelming for like the people, even this course. So for sometimes to go into the technicalities, there are prerequisites like linear algebra and probability and stats that all of you might not have at this point. So that is why this course is structured in a way that it is challenging for both the people. Even those people who have a background, they are going to learn, and even those people who don't have the background, they will also learn. But if someone has a higher background, then if someone does not have, so we cannot compromise on them. That is why we open a ground for them to learn as well. And if they want to communicate on individual basis or learn more, so they can always talk to the faculty directly, so the faculty can guide them, they can do this stuff. So yeah, so the opportunity is always there. We have to set the course in a way that it is accessible and understandable and challenging for all, but still not in a way that is not
Overwhelming.
overwhelming.
Perfect. Perfect. Moving on, we have Husnain Khalid. Please unmute your mic and ask your question.
So my first question was actually that, as mentioned in the syllabus, we'll be covering supervised and unsupervised learning. So realizing the fact that because of the shortage of time, we won't be able to go any further. My point was that will it limit us to work in specified areas? Will it restrict us to some particular areas to work on as we move on towards our Capstone project? And the second thing which I wanted to ask was like if we'll be going through classification, regression, or clustering. So should we be able or should we be concerned about the mathematics behind it? And if yes, then to what extent should we be concerned about that? Thank you, sir.
Great question. Yes,
I'll
I
go
would
ahead.
just say, if Hussein, just one follow-up question on your question before we start answering it is, are you talking about any specific area that you think you may lose out because you think that the syllabus may not cover that? Is there any specific area of this field that you're referring to, or just generally?
Yeah, what I meant was in the first question, what I meant was like reinforcement and deep learning, as you mentioned. So that makes sense that we have shortage of time. So my point actually was, will it restrict us? I mean, the cycle, the process which we'll be going through, will it restrict us to go through those things which can be done through deep learning or modern neural networks?
I mean, this is a very simple answer. So deep learning, neural networks, I mean, deep learning, let's talk about that. That's not covered in this. That's not in the scope of this certification. That's a totally different domain. And we do have plans to eventually venture into the big data analytics, cloud analytics domain, where we'll be covering in more profound detail this topic. But yeah, like this particular certification is focused on predictive analytics, machine learning algorithms, EDA, Python programming, and time-based forecasting. But Abrar and Ayman, would you like to contribute this
Yeah.
question?
Yeah. So deep learning is just a branch of machine learning, and it's where neural networks have a higher amount of layers, right? Um, it becomes a very specific topic. Now, people do PhDs in deep learning, right? Uh, we will be covering neural networks, and we'll be giving you. So we'll have around 2 hours to complete neural networks, right? Because when you talk about supervised learning, there are about 6 to 8 algorithms that we need to cover in that module, right? And neural network is one of them. And which means that out of the 8 hours that you have, right? And how many hours you have? You have uh, 6 hours per week, right? So which means
Yes.
in a week you are covering about 2 to 3 algorithms, right? So if you divide 6 by 3, right, you'll have about 2 hours, 2 hours to complete neural networks. Now, people who are doing PhDs, right, they're spending their entire year to understand deep learning, right? How much of that we can cover in 2 hours? So, we'll be only making neural network familiar with you, right? What's the structure of a neural network? Neuron, what happens at a neuron? What are the layers? So these terminologies, when you look at a neural network documentation of sklearn, you will be able to understand the main parameters that you can play with to run a neural network algorithm, right? So that's what we can cover as an introductory lesson for neural network. But it's again, so these are different touch points which we will, different terminologies that we will discuss during the entire certification. And at times each a single terminology is by itself a research topic for the PhD candidates, right? So we can't cover the entire depth. And we shouldn't, right? Because we can start neural network today and keep talking about it till the end of the certification, and we still won't be done with that, right? So this is just a foundational course to make you understand what data science is all about, because that is necessary in people who want to transition into data science. You can take years to learn, right? And in your own timeline, you can decide when to go deep into neural networks and understand their functioning. It's up to you. But for us, we can contribute, we can help you understand the entire field of data science.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Abrar. So does that answer your question, Hasnan?
Yeah. So the second part about the mathematics.
So yeah, mathematics is, yeah. So it's a popular quote in this field that a data scientist knows more programming than a regular statistician, and he knows more statistics than a regular programmer, right? So you don't need to go into high level. So you'll have high level understanding of the different uh, uh, parts of an algorithm, right? But we won't be going into in-depth statistics, trying to calculate by hand certain terms, right? Such as, there's Gini coefficient involved in decision trees, right? We won't be going into how to calculate Gini coefficient, but we'll understand what Gini coefficient means. And, even in practical field where I'm working currently, we use decision trees in a prediction, in predicting, right? And the client wanted to understand what it is all about. And the data scientist had enough knowledge just to brief him in 10 minutes what it's all about. So it was not required for him to calculate it. The computer itself was calculating it, but he knew what it means and how it impacts the prediction. And that's the essential knowledge for a data scientist. You don't have to get into take out your calculator and do pen and paper and start calculating, the different metrics that we talk about. You have to understand their functioning and how they impact predictions in the algorithm.
Right.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Abrar. Suhail, Akhtar, you're next. Please go ahead.
Yeah. We can't hear you, Suhail. Suhail, we can't hear you. We can move to
Usher,
Ashar.
Usher Siddiqui, please unmute and ask your question while Suhail fixes his technical issue.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I have like most of the answer. I got the answer of my question with Sir Abrar and everyone, but I'm gonna still ask if someone who is being planning to transition his career from something else to the data science and for this certification. Um, so after the completion of this certification, to get to land a starting level job like, and I'm talking particularly Konain, about the job market in North America. That is it a skill based that most of the companies are looking for as a entry level data analyst position? Like after, does it matter from where I got the certification and everything? And because I don't have a problem with the course outline and syllabus, because I don't have any prior experience with data science, so it will be beneficial for me. But to land a job, it is like the skill based which companies are looking, or they certainly do look for a specific degree or certification, like a credit certification or something.
So I would like to definitely answer that because just briefly. So my personal experience working in North America, and have been part of the recruitment process as well for data scientists, data analysts, and visualization people, right? In order to meet the initial threshold, you need a degree, because right now we haven't reached that stage yet where degrees have become superfluous. Degrees are still relevant. So in order to get the interview, you need the degree. You need to show that piece of paper that you are qualified to come into the office and interview, right? Now, when you come in for the interview, the degree goes out of the window, right? Then the matter is between whether you know the job or you do not know the job. So that is ascertained through firstly your experience or your certifications. And the reason why I say certifications is because for people who are just starting out, and would like to work as data analysts or data scientists positions, people prove their skill set through the certifications because they have not got their first job yet, right? And then eventually through the certifications, when they get their foot in the door, then they start building their experience, and then eventually move up the ladder career wise in this field. So yes, degree is relevant only to the point where it gets you to the interview stage, and then it's all about what you know and how much you know of that. So that's why as many certifications as possible you can do, as many projects as possible as you can do, because essentially what happens is it's all about a story, right? Like, can you talk about your experience from the data science perspective, from the data analyst perspective? They don't expect you, they don't care if you know how to apply a random forest algorithm. They just want you to know if you've worked on that, if you have any experience, or if you know like the science behind it, the statistics behind it, or like how it can help solve a particular industry issue. So that's why certifications come in very handy when you go in for your interview. Abrar
I'll,
and Ayman.
yeah, I'll share my story that I was in sales when I started off my career, right? So I did my MBA from IBA in sales and marketing, and I was working in the sales department of a company. And I got an opportunity. So I got two opportunities in a company. One was in sales department, right? And the other one was in analytics department. And I was given a choice, and the analytics role was a grade lower than sales, right? So I was getting less benefits in that. Uh, and, the they asked me that, which path would you like to take? And I was passionate. So I realized sales was something I don't see myself in the future. So, and I was passionate about, number crunching and analytics. I had a distinction in further maths in A levels and a distinction in stats in O levels. So I thought, this is something probably is, where I should be. So I said, yeah, I'll go for analytics. So I started off as a business analyst, right? So having a business background, I was okay in Excel. So yeah, I struggled a bit with Excel and I learned a bit, right? And moved on and I kept doing certifications in Excel. And then I was moved on to, developing dashboards because I was the guy who was considered as the go-to guy to do research on new tools and, play with data. I gained that reputation in my company. So I became the single source of, you know, dashboard development in Tableau in that company. So moving on, then I became a trainer in Tableau and Excel in that company, and then I also introduced Power BI, right? So in use of Power BI in that company. So slowly, gradually, I became the lead of the analytics team, right? And then at that point, I realized that I need to learn a few more technical tools like SQL and Python. So I started working on that. So that was about 4 years ago, right? Slowly, so I was in Saudi at that time. So I did a few certifications, but then certifications by themselves were not enough. I need to have hands-on experience, that I've worked for so many hours on those tools. So I came back from Saudi to Pakistan because there I didn't see myself, growing much. Came back, and then my first job was in SQL. Even though uh, I was at a beginner level in SQL, just doing a certification is not good enough, right? But then I was selected as a lead for the data department in a local company, right? And uh, so there, and, and why was I selected? Because I had the business background and I had the experience to say, yes, this guy can do the work, right? So then um, I struggled a lot with SQL again in that company for about a year, right? But then that helped me hone my skills in SQL. So that was now a given. I use that experience everywhere. Wherever I go, I am now in good in SQL, right? It's an established fact now shown in my CV in terms of certification and experience. Then I joined IBA, the certification in Python and analytics and big data and analytics, where I met Dr. Tariq, who's the course director in FTI, right? And I did a 6-month certification there. And then I got a job as a manager projects in data science in a data science consultancy company. So, things kept happening, so if you have this, it's not something which happens like a snap, we're not in Avengers Infinity War, right? That you just snap your fingers and it happens, but you have to have that continuous struggle towards your goal. So if you want to be a data scientist, it's not going to happen at the end of the certification, right? But it will happen if you are focused towards it in a period of 4 to 5 years with consistent effort. We've seen people who do these certifications and then forget about it. They just get busy with their own job, with their own if they are in a marketing department, they continue with their brand management and stuff, and then they slowly forget whatever 70 to 60 to 70% of the people follow that trajectory. They let go of these new skill sets that they have acquired in the certification. But then you should be asking yourself, why are you doing this certification? Because you're starting off this journey right now. Don't end it at the end of the 6 month, just looking. So, and that happens in all the different careers. When you start climbing the mountain, the journey is pretty easy at the start. The slope is a little gentle, but soon it becomes steep. And that's the point, where you lose that motivation and let go of it and change your career path. That shouldn't happen. You should continue toiling towards your end goal. If you're really passionate about data science and analytics, you must continue that journey and climb up the steep slope, and soon it's going to get gentle again.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you very much for like this detailed answer. Like I really appreciate. Um, I just have a quick follow up. Like after this COVID thing, and most of the people like now it will be a trend to work from home and everything is like going like on online. So what do you think, like in Pakistan also, and all around the world, what will be the future of data analytics as compared to after the COVID? And since we are going much deeper into AI and machine learning for like every part of the business.
So where I'm working, right, we've gained more clients during COVID. So
Yeah.
that's enough said, because this field doesn't need a brick and mortar setup, right? You can work from home, you can thrive from home actually. So the thing is, our competition, we usually compete with India, right? On everything, and India's market is about 150 times more than Pakistan. And if we see that, in terms of population, they're only 3 times bigger. So there's a lot of and what we've seen is that India is able to market a lot of their talent
Yeah.
abroad, and most of the time it's not that good. They're probably top 1 to 5% who are really talented and really good from IIT, and they end up in places like Google and Microsoft and stuff. But at a general level, Pakistan's talent can be better than India, and we've opened our eyes recently, right? And there are companies emerging right now. The people who just people belonging to this field, they're just friends gathering up, starting off freelancing, and they end up establishing company within a year, right? So this field is something which is growing exponentially. So if you stay in this field and go through the toil and struggle, probably you'll end up in somewhere nice. So
Okay.
it just requires that struggle and effort.
Well
Right.
put.
Thank you very
Very
much.
well put, Abrar. Thank you, Abrar. Ali Faruqi, you're next. Ali, if you have a question because you've raised your hand, please ask now, or we'll move to the next person. Okay. Suhail Akhtar, yes, you typed your question as well. Would you like to say it, or shall we
Can you
take it
hear
off
me,
the chat?
guys?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I just reconnect myself.
Sure.
Well, I just want to say thank you so very much to answer all these questions. It really help, to gain the knowledge about the course and the delivery. Just a follow-up question for Abrar. When you were going over the roles of data scientist, you were talking about your role is kind of a role which is basically a liaison between business and the IT world. So what exactly is that role, and is that role required only a high level information on data science, or how do you elaborate on that specific role?
So as much knowledge in data science is always beneficial, right? So I recently also completed a data science in Python track on Data Camp, right? And I try to keep update on the new knowledge sets available. So I usually have a target of a certification a year, right? Every year I try to do something new. So last year or year before, I guess I completed a certification on Microsoft's data science professional program, right? So so even though at times there is a repetition, right? But it helps in reinforcing the concepts, right? So uh, on a regular day, right, the client, when uh, they talk to me in business terms that I need, okay, even the client at times, so I'm working on a fintech initiative, which basically predicts decisions related to nano loans, right? Which means that these nano loans are of the amount of less than $500, right? And you submit a loan application via an app, Android app, right? You fill in your details, and within minutes you get an approval that yes, your loan is approved, and either those funds get transferred to your mobile wallet or you can go to a just like an easy pesa agent, nearby. You can go to that outlet and collect funds from there, right? So this is like funds are delivered to you within minutes of the loan application. There's no human involved in approving that loan. So it's an AI-based solution which helps in making those decisions. But that model, so the client uh, uh, also, so though the client is mainly a financial client, so it's a bank, right? And the person engaging with me has a strong financial background, right? So he has solid concepts related to finance, but then he has also read up on metrics such as precision, recall, F1 score, which are data science related concepts. So when he has those talks with me, I'm able to converse with him on those same terminologies because I'm aware of those. And if he wants an explanation of a certain term because he has less knowledge about it, I am able to give them that information, right? And even when I'm talking to the developers, now there it's a higher challenge in my job because now I need to make things clear to the developer that these are the preferences. So in terms of loan, while talking to the client, I realized that the client's preference is to optimize precision and recall. Now, when you combine these two metrics, it gives you F1 score. So, that's something which the developer didn't decipher, but I did that while having a conversation with the client. And I translated that to the developer, telling him that you need to focus on F1 score to optimize that in your model so that it can deliver results according to the business requirement of the client. So I'm kind of working in the middle, trying to translate what the client is saying in the language of the developer, and I'm trying to translate what the developer is saying in the language of the client. So, and I'm making at times decisions on behalf of the client, right? When I'm having some conversation with the developer, because the client doesn't have that level of technical knowledge, but I do have, right? So I'm able to guide the developer in certain areas that you need to go in this direction. You need to treat this data in this way. You need to summarize loan applications in this way so that your predictions are better. So even though I don't work on code, right, but I'm able to help the, the, the developer in the right direction in technical terms as well.
Yeah, so basically, you're kind of talking same lingo at the business side, and then you can translate those requirements into the technical requirements because you have a grasp on the technology as well. I get it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
As well, I would also like to add here, because from my personal experience, so when we used to go into a client, right, and with our data science solution or service, right, so we're going to cover that methodology. It's called CRISP DM methodology. Abrar is going to cover that in profound detail in the certification. So we used to ask 3 questions first, right? The first was, what is your problem, right? What is the problem statement? The second is, what are the bottlenecks, right? And then the third question that we used to ask was, are you guys collecting any data, right? So the purpose of asking these 3 questions is to firstly, build that relationship as you asked, build that relationship with the client, and then, create a whole solution set, around their problem statement, a data-driven solution set around their problem statement, which eventually we would execute through, various different algorithms, or, however, which way it would get solved. So in order to establish the relationship, you really need to connect with the client's point. And if you're going in as a data scientist or an analytics person, then you need to share or propose a data-driven solution. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents around that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your
no problem.
Appreciate
Thank you for your question. All right. So moving on, we'll take one question from the chat. So Rohan, he asked, he typed his question. He's saying, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I have done BS in statistics, and hopefully my MBA in FRM will be complete by 2020. And now I am also doing this data science course from your valuable organizations. So I want to know how can I utilize my 3 of these studies on one platform.
You tell us.
So it's a very, I would need clarification on that question from Rohan if you're with us.
That's something which you will tell us after at the end of the certification. You will be getting, so even at the end of the first module, you will be getting ideas on how to utilize your knowledge set in the problems that you face related to data science. The answer lies with you, my friend.
So Rohan, if you can unmute and share your, just elaborate further exactly what your specific question is, because I think what you're trying to ask is how can you use your statistics bachelor's with your FRM master's with your data science certification. So I think there's a very interesting relationship between the 3, but I would like to hear from you just a little more exactly what your question is so that we can address it appropriately.
Yeah, sure, sir. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Yes, sir. Basically, I have been BSc strategy from Brazil Institute, and I am right now
So,
doing
Rohan, there's a lot of noise in the background. Like, I think there's air, right? So either you take a step back from the mic, so your voice will become clear.
now it's fine.
Yeah, it's better.
Yes. So right now I am doing MBA and FNM from IOVM. So I want to change my career path. Basically, right now I'm also doing job in MIS as a lead MIS in organization, and where I am doing projects work like business analytics work and management reports and different types of IT reports work and system development tasks. So basically, I want to learn. I want to choose this course for my deep learning about machine language because I am very weak in machine learning. So I want to know that how can I uh, is can I learn more machine language like Python and SQL to analytics field so I can change my career path in machine language through this course.
See, that's a question which probably is a rhetorical question from coming from your side, because the thing is, see, you're the kind of resource that is needed in this field, right? Statistics plus business you already have on your side. All you need is a little bit of understanding of programming, right? Or
Yes.
a better understanding of programming, right? As
Yes,
you
sir.
gain more and more experience in Python, right? Or in other languages like talking about SQL. If you have the kind of knowledge that I have right now, you can easily become a unicorn in this field. The unicorn that has a good knowledge set in all the 3 areas that we talk about: business domain, statistics, and programming. The thing is, there's a huge resource out there that is good in programming, right? But not good in business and statistics, right? And there are very few resources who are good in programming and business. And there are still very few rare people who are good in all 3. So now you've already covered 2 knowledge areas. Just, learn aggressively about programming. And I can say within 2 to 3 years, you can easily become that rare resource who can do really, really well in this field.
Okay, sir, that's amazing. Yes, sir, I will also. So basically, I learned very much from this, and I will inshallah do and give my best after this course.
Sure.
That's great to hear, Rohan. Thank you very much for your question. We'll move on to Fahad Iftikhar. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, am I audible now?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, earlier on, I think there was some technical disruption. So basically, my question was from Sir Konain as well, and the other instructor. Basically, understanding, I do understand that there's a lot of content to cover, and it can take some time to actually become a full-fledged data scientist. But by the end of this course, how good will the students be able to market their skill set that they can actually land a junior data analyst or a data analyst job in the local market in Karachi or in Pakistan. Do you think that will be able to help us in giving out interviews, and how much will be able to actually transition to that data science field as a junior data analyst position, maybe?
Konain, maybe we
So
can discuss
I would
like
like on that.
Hassan's example. Like Hassan was a student of ours and he
Yes,
immediately
come to
got
that.
a
Come to that.
position.
So Fahad, your question is absolutely valid, and we would like to give you an example of one of our alumni. His name is Hassan Ahmed. He is and from NED in cohort, like he was the top first ever data cohort. The best thing about that student was that he just never stopped learning, right? He signed up for a course. He was on scholarship because of his stellar CGPA, but he never stopped learning. He did not think of our certification as the end all be all, because he realized very early on that data science is a rabbit hole, and the more he digs deeper, the more profound knowledge he will discover, right? And eventually what happened was that he joined our course because he wanted to switch his like pretty much people do. So he was working as a telecommunication engineer at a local company in Pakistan, and then he joined our certification. And upon the end of our certification, he did also was able to complete a couple of other specialist analytics certifications as well from the internet. And right now he's hired as a data analyst at Affinity. And we will be inviting him over at one of our uh, distinguished speaker series sessions to introduce you guys, to sort of inspire the aspiring data analysts or data scientists who see themselves in these glamorous roles in just to as a way to inspire and motivate them that the learning journey should not stop at a certification. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But Ayman, you want to say anything around that?
I think this certification is enough to apply for a junior data analyst position, and like maybe you may need to upskill your SQL skills together with this. That will actually help. And for that also we have another certification that we started because we thought sometimes this is a question that has been asked. If people go for a data analyst position, SQL or not. For that, we have our data engineering certification that will start from October. So yeah, so with both of these certifications, data science, and if you don't have a CS background, but for instance, if you already have a CS background, so you probably know SQL from before, so that won't be a problem for you. With this data science certification, I can say that you can apply for junior data analyst position easily. I think it's enough knowledge to start for a junior position.
All right, I understand, and thank you for your answers. I just wanted to add another question to Sir Abrar. And being a person from the industry, sir, I just wanted to know that like even Affinity, I've heard that they go through 3 weeks of training where they equip the students with some statistical knowledge, such as Bayesian statistics, and they realize that the students have potential in terms of programming and database knowledge, but at the very start, the students actually have to go through a training session. So is it also a thing like, I mean, other than Affinity, do other companies also first train you, or do they expect you to have all those knowledge, skills, and like I said, having more statistical skills to help them in the job?
So a lot of the firms have this, they have an assessment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have a certain level of a skill set. Now, yes, depending on the role, right? So if it's a data scientist role, which requires people to have 4 to 5 years of experience, in that case, they do test you on statistics as well, right? But yes, if it's a junior data analyst role, what they mainly test you on is how can you summarize data, right? For instance, um, I've given a test in Baikia, right? What they did, they gave me a data set, right? And they asked me to summarize the data. So there was no guidance, right? It's an analytical test. They just give you data from their, business, Baikia business, and then they just say, just give us insights, whatever you get out of it, right? Take 2 hours, 3 hours, just sit there and analyze the data and summarize it and give whatever insights, make charts or, make a report out of it. So, those kind of exercises you will get during this certification. In fact, you'll get, I guess, such an exercise once in every module. So we have a final exam, and then we also have a hands-on exam as well. We give you a data set, we let you take it home, and we want you to make a report out of it. So you'll be analyzing the data through different angles, and you'll do it at least 5 times in this certification. And by the end of that, probably you'll have a good hands-on in giving those assessments as well, right? So our thing is going to be a little more tough than the kind of interview assessments you get from these companies, because they at times give you a free hand, that you can use either Python or Excel, which is good actually, Power BI or whatever tool you want to use. They just want you to get insights out of the data, but we'll restrict you to use Python, and we'll restrict you to a certain structure of the report, which may trouble you a bit, but then we'll make sure that you have that skill set. So most of the time they won't they expect you to have a certain data handling knowledge available, which they will test in. So yeah, there's an HR interview initial on your CV, but then there usually is an assessment where you're given data and you're supposed to get insights out of it. And at times there's also, one thing that I'm scared a lot about are analytical assessments. Besides data, besides the technical, what they give you is a case. Let's say
Business case,
so, and I've struggled a lot in such assessments as well. They ask you that, Karachi, just give us an estimate of how many public transport vehicles are there in Karachi. Now you just need to think out loud and give your assumptions on how you are arriving at this number. I was also once giving an interview in Daraz, and they asked me, just give us an estimate that how many orders do we process in a week? Or, once in Nielsen, they asked that, how would you estimate the number of hair on a dog? Or, just give us an estimate of how many flights leave the Karachi airport on a daily basis. So, they blow your mind out, but, you need to have that logical, and that's what we say, the analytics aptitude. Anyone can come in this field, right? Whether it is a doctor, engineer, or, marketer, salesman, all you need to have is that analytics aptitude. And what's that analytics aptitude? That you approach a problem through a logical mindset. You have a structured way of thinking. You make assumptions, you make a model in your mind, and you approach a problem through that. You break a problem apart, structure it, and try to find a solution through logical means, right? And even when you're given nothing, you can make your own assumptions and try to get to the problem. Whatever you do the best with what you have. Even in my job at times, I don't get the data, I don't have the data, right? And at times, what's the best that we can do? Can we estimate? You don't have a customer's application, loan application. How can you estimate his payment behavior? You can look at, how he has made payments about his utility bills, right? Or, even so the kind of work that we're doing, we are collecting data from the app, right? So you install the loan app on your mobile, and the app can collect data which you even are not aware of, like the number of apps that you've installed. And one of the insights that we got is that people who have a lot of video games installed on their mobile have a lesser chance to pay, right? So, there's the kind of inferences you can make when you have nothing, whatever you have available, how can you make inferences out of it? So if you have that mindset, you can do well in this field.
Yes, sir. Very true about the logical mindset that is really needed in this field. And it will be really valuable to know your experiences while going through those interview process. And probably, as you mentioned, that in the modules as well, we'll be doing that data analysis and projects, which can actually help us land a job as a data analyst. So I was just curious to know about that, how we'll be able to tackle that part. And as Sir Konain mentioned, I really look forward to that speaker session with that NED student and how he was able to land a job at Affinity as well. That will be a good one to have. Lastly, sir, just one last question from Sir Konain. Is there a possibility that since the government has announced that on September 15th, the educational institutes might open up, so I do understand there are a lot of people joining from other places other than Pakistan, but could the local students be allowed? I mean, will you be converting this into a multi-mode program with some on-site classes as well?
So we had this discussion internally, and we would like to, just for the sanctity of this particular cohort, which is an online cohort, and since you guys are all part of a group, you've been, sifted through applications, and then you're the ones that have been, given out acceptance letters. So I would say that it might not be a possibility. However, we do plan to have on-site cohorts eventually, because we have been told by our location partner, which is DHS Fti University, where we used to organize our classes, that we can come back on campus in September, but they haven't really given us a date yet. So we decided that until and unless that's finalized, we won't, issue any further notification or clarification on that, just so that, that there's no confusion from our end. So that's why, yeah. But to answer your question simply, for this particular cohort, the multi-model that you're proposing, it might not be a possibility. Yeah.
All right. But other than that, if the student is in Karachi and he wants to probably get some maybe 10, 15 minutes of your time for some mentoring about their career or other things, will it be possible to meet you or any of the instructors?
Yes, absolutely. That's something that's available, pretty much for all of our students. But since for the people who are based in Karachi, I mean, we can also host, in-person meetings, and that's like part of the certification to provide counseling, to provide mentorship, because we all as a unit felt that the universities or the high schools, they significantly lack. If they were to lack one thing, it's the mentoring sessions. Okay, what can we do after you, go out there? So it's definitely a possibility. Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for everyone's answer. It was indeed quite helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahad. Finally, Hamad Izad, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to ask about the relationship of finance or asset management with the data science, like how it would be used in that case.
It's a great question, because we're just working on a project, on a POC with the asset management company, like one of the biggest asset management companies of Pakistan. So Ayman, I would like you to address or walk Hamad through that project. Just give him an idea so that he understands how data science is impacting or influencing the AMC or the financial services sector.
Okay, first I can walk you through the project that we are currently doing, and then I can give you general examples as well other than this project, because if you look at data science and if you search what are the applications, it is a bit surprising. Can
You have
someone,
noise coming in.
noise. Yeah, so basically, if you even search, it's the finance and marketing that data science is actually being used the most. However, like we have AI and deep learning, we do have, but still, this is still finance finance and marketing is at the top of the applications for data science. So what we have in hand right now, and then I could discuss some other examples as well. So we have a customer segmentation problem where we have to where we have to let the asset management company know who are the potential investors and who are the people who they should call from their call centers to target them as the potential as their potential clients. So this is a simple machine learning problem where you have to segment the customers and target your marketing strategies and schemes according to those set of customers. So yeah, so target marketing for financial sector and asset management is one of the problem statements. Then there is churn analysis of customers leaving or people closing their bank accounts. Why are they leaving, or people investing in certain type of bank funds and not investing in another type of funds? That is another problem, that's machine learning problem. Then there are problems like fraud detection. If you want to detect fraud in any of the departments, audit, for instance, yeah, auditing firms uses a lot.
Your voice is breaking a bit.
Oh, how much did it break?
Like you can go a minute back, rewind yourself to a minute.
Okay. Okay, I speak fast, so going a minute back, it's like okay. Okay, so
You can start from
basic.
fraud detection, Ayman.
Okay. So
Fraud
basically,
detection.
so fraud detection is one of the things that even like auditors need to know. Auditors, it's very important for auditors to see where are the anomalies are. So anomaly detection and fraud detection go hand to hand, and that's also a machine learning problem. Churn analysis: who are the people who are leaving banks and like who are investing into other banks? That is another problem. And then there could be multiple problems that are related to department by department that would change. Like in an asset management company, HR would be having a different problem, and like in the finances specifically, these are the three problems that can come to my mind right now: target marketing, churn analysis, and fraud detection. These are like these are very basic problems that they are actually working on. They're trying to build pipelines to solve these problems in a better way. So yeah,
So
maybe
you
Sir Abrar
also,
has something to add. Yeah.
yeah, you also have uh, the thing that I talked about, right? Credit worthiness. So their AI-based solution to uh, give credit worthiness of people who are applying for loans. And then you have money laundering related solutions where, you know, if you've already identified a few people who are doing money laundering, you can do a network analysis on to, you know, these accounts and their dealings with other accounts, you know, and if they're frequently getting money from another account, that's also probably a shady account. Or if they are sending money regularly to another account, then that's also a shady account. So that's a network analysis you can do. And then I guess investment-based decisions. No, the thing is, any decision that you can break down into a set of rules, a set of algorithms, you know, you can document it in a systemic process. That probably is an area which you can address through data science, right? So it's something, you know, we would encourage you guys also, you know, when you are working, you know, so you spend 6 hours with us, but the rest of the hours, you know, when you're roaming around, doing your work, going to your office, you will come up definitely against cases where you can use data science, and you can highlight those to us and, you know, use that in your capstone projects, you know. So it's something which you, it can be even in regular life, you know, things about like, you know, selecting your clothes to a certain event. Can it be programmed? I think it can, right? If you can program, if you can put in the inventory of clothes that you have available, and, you know, the kind of colors you wear to different events, probably you can, you know, do design an algorithm to decide the clothes for you, whichever, you know, whatever clothes. You have recommender systems already. When you go on e-commerce and select a few clothes, you already get recommendations at the bottom, you know, because you've selected a certain kinds of products, you get, you know, something related to those products, you know, or people who've bought in some other products in combination to the products you've selected, you start getting recommendations. Netflix gives you recommendation on the kind of movies you've watched, right? So, you know, it's all around. So, you know, these are ideas. So we'll share our ideas we'll share the use cases in different industries. We'll also like you guys to come up with, to enhance our learning as well. It's a two-way process.
Very well
So,
put.
oh, sorry. So I wanted to ask, like, I'm trying to do CFA. So like from that perspective, if even in asset pricing or financial services, giving someone financial services, or even to value, or even for valuation of mergers or acquisition, can it be used for that too, or would the domain would be completely different from that?
I would like to comment on that. Because we're actually working on an internal project and Ayman is leading that. And our advisor, Chaudhry Saab, is he's providing the supervisory guidance. So that project is called sentiment analysis. Okay. Now what it does is that, so, when you're, Hamad, when you're doing analysis of a stock or a company, right? You're essentially looking at fundamental analysis and technical analysis, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Right. So now, because of the influx of data, right, and the amounts and the kinds of data types that you're getting, such as social media, such as videos, such as text, so all of these sources of data, we call them unstructured data. Now, how do you account them in your decision making process? Because essentially these are all sentiments, right? These are all called alternative data sources. Like, how do you incorporate them in your decision making so that it becomes more informed, right? Because essentially your idea is just an opinion, right? It's based on a level of confidence. KG, I'm 80% confidence that this will happen. But then if you incorporate these alternative sources of data, then you may perhaps become 90% confident that this will happen. This event might occur. So essentially, to answer your question, sentiment analysis is something that we're currently working on. And the idea is to incorporate uh, alternative sources of data in your financial services decision making. So incorporate sentiments in the fundamental, along with the fundamental and technical analysis when forming the decision. So that's one of the ways how CFA holder can benefit, or a broker can benefit, or a banker can benefit from data science. A classic broker, classic banker, can benefit from data science, the sentiment analysis part. Ayman can perhaps shed more light on that.
Because I had some prior interest in asset management and CA firms and stuff. So they have this ongoing debate right now as well, how relevant it would be to have a chartered accountant and a CFA in the future, because the decision can be made using the data, and a data scientist or a data analyst looking at these, even not knowing the business, they can predict the price of the asset, not knowing the because they have the algorithm to do it for them, even if they don't have that kind of domain knowledge, because that's not even needed, because the data, when it goes into the algorithm has to make the decision. So yeah, so asset management is a very relevant industry, and like in the near future, most of these positions of CAs and CFAs are, they aren't kind of like, you need to have an edge, you need to know the analytics, you can't just be a CA and not know the analytics in the future, because then there's, because those things that they used to do, those decisions, they can be programmed and run. So yeah, so
They'll become
it's a very
hybrid roles,
relevant here.
basically.
Yeah, hybrid rules, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Wasim bhai, you're next.
Hi, I have a question here. Being a financial controller, the accuracy of my forecast is very important for my business KPIs. So how this course can help me to improve my accuracy of my forecast?
So is that it? Is that the question?
Yeah, that's the question.
So depends on how, so see, there are some financial concepts that are involved in your work that you're doing. and then there are some technical, the way the data is being handled, or so currently probably you're doing your work in Excel, right?
Mostly, yeah.
So at times Excel might be limiting you to not to do some workarounds, right? So you probably, so while working in Excel, people do a lot of compromises on, the kind of treatment to data that you can do, the kind of calculations you can do, or the kind of analysis you can do, because Excel has some very basic functionality related to linear regression, or, running tests, right? But Python enables you to, it brings a huge inventory of libraries, related to forecasting, which you can just, plug in. You'll get the hang of it, right? Over this 6-month period, you'll be able to understand that, new knowledge is just coming up on Python. There new libraries are being created. All you need to do is just know how to learn that new knowledge. So if a new library comes up, these guys, the people who've developed it will put a documentation on it. All you need to do is refer to that documentation and learn how to use. It's just like, getting a new high-tech vacuum cleaner at home. So, when you just unpack it, you read the user manual and you start using it. It's the same way with libraries. All you need, if you come across a new library, all you need to do is read up on it and start using it. So this will, expose you, this course will expose you to a huge inventory of libraries, and would, remove the crutches that you have right now with Excel, and what, so Excel still is a good tool for you to investigate data and understand, look at the data firsthand, right? But then Python gives you a lot of options on how to treat that data, and how to analyze that data. You'll have a huge inventory of, libraries available where you don't have to code as much. Those codes have already been packaged into smart functions. All you need to do is understand how to use that function and tweak its parameters to run that entire analysis. When you get to supervised learning, unsupervised learning, you'll see that, decision tree, running a decision tree is just, calling a function of decision tree. How that decision tree works, how it splits, a tree into nodes, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to manually design a decision tree. It does it for you. All you need to do is tweak its parameters, that, at what thresholds it needs to split, at what point should it stop splitting the tree into further branches. You can tweak that, so it liberates you in a way. This knowledge, I'm not saying this certification, but knowledge about Python liberates you from just the use of Excel, because at times I've been through that route, and using Excel at times you do a lot of compromises with your analysis. But Python,
like I would like to add one comment here. We need to apply different kind of pivot tables to visualize different results on our data in Excel. So that might be, you are talking about that Python will help me to present or to retrieve different results, and it is already coded in Python.
In a better way, in a more quick way, that's what Python will help you do. So if you can do something in like 1 hour, in Python you can do it in 5 minutes, and you can visualize it as well.
So it means automated solutions are already coded in Python, so that can help to visualize the data in different ways.
So there are libraries, right? In Python, there are libraries, built-in libraries that you can call in by writing a script, a small code, 1, 2, 3, 4 line code, and then it will, enable you to do what you want to do through that you were initially wanting to do through the pivot table in Excel.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And
when you've written a code, it exists in terms of a script, and when you want to run that experiment again, you don't have. So in Excel, what happens is if you get new data, yes, you have to copy paste the data in somewhere, and another Excel file reads from it, and the pivot tables. At times you have to update the connections and stuff. In Python, what happens is you just run a data through a script, right? And all the processes that you've designed before. Let's say today you sit down, write a code. You can use that code on different types of data, different data sets, right? To give you different results. So you have a 2019 data set. You run it through that code, you get results. You have a 2020 data set. Again, you use the same code. So your code, whatever you work on, is something which can be used again and again and again and again, right? It's knowledge that you've created even for future use. In Excel, there's a lot of manual steps involved, right? You get rid of that in Python.
Yes, and one last thing, Wasim bhai, is that the purpose of the cohort engagement form, I keep bringing it again, is that we would like you to share that statement, that problem statement, or that background, so that we can, internally discuss and create or identify data sets, so that you can work on them and, expand or enhance your learning. Okay?
Okay, great.
Perfect. Zuhaib Raja. Zuhaib Raja, if you can hear us, you are up next.
Hey Konain. Hey everyone. So it's me Zuhaib. Let me give you my intro. So currently I'm working as a senior data analyst in data analytics department, and I have been into IT field since last 7 years. So most of the questions and most of the the processes regarding machine learning, I'm already familiar and aware of that. I just want to add regarding with Wasim. I think he asked a question regarding the Excel, that can we automate the system in Python. So there in Excel there are some VB macros you can automate Excel as well in just one click. But like for a longer, run, it's better if you can work in the Python, because it's more, appropriate, and it's more giving you a insight knowledge regarding, graphical representations. So yeah, I feel like, but if you still, like, because in my job, we do work on the Excel, but I try to automate Excel with VB macros. That's a one single click. But like most of our analysis, it has been either done in SQL or R. So it's same like you can do in Python as well.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for sharing. I think we have covered questions quite extensively today. There are people who have their hands raised still. Fahad, Hamad, Wasim, and Zuhaib, do you still have questions?
Fahad, you're the last man standing. And you're on mute. Now we have Hasna and Khalid as well.
Yes, Hasnain. Okay. That's fine.
Hasnain,
please ask your question.
One last question. Like, when are we going to do SQL? Do we do it in the first two modules so that we can use it later when we have to start a project?
So even as today's plan, we were supposed to start off the lecture as well, and you saw how these 3 hours went by, and these 3 hours were valuable, right? Because we got to know each other and we got to understand some ground realities related to the field itself, right? These hours were not wasted, right? These hours were valuable and it helped us understand, and it probably also covered some parts of the lecture as well. SQL has been kept out for now, right? And we need to focus more towards laying the groundwork of data science and Python, right? Given that there are something, you can still, the kind of data manipulation that we can do in SQL, you can also do it in Python. And we'll cover the Python part definitely in this module. SQL, as I mentioned before, that we will find a time for you guys, right? As we have promised and mentioned it, we will find a time to put in extra hours and make that content available for you. And it's something which I will deliver. That I take up personally, right? I will spend around those 6 hours, right? 4 to 6 hours to cover SQL, right? It's a two. So our last cohort, I was taking 2-hour sessions, right? And it took 2 sessions to cover SQL. So I need around 4 to 5 hours to cover that entire topic. I will coordinate with you. Like I need to just clear. So this month's plan is clear, but somewhere, we might gain some time, and we'll put SQL content in that timeline, so that I'll jump in, even if it's module 2 that you're working with Sir Usman. I will jump in some day, even if it's a public holiday or something, and I can give you that knowledge area. So don't worry about missing out on SQL.
Yes.
You will be covering it. For now, I'm not clear on it, so I can't answer that question clearly. But we will cover SQL, and you'll do that knowledge area with me, right? I take that responsibility, so don't worry about it.
And just to answer your question, Hamad, from my end, it will be covered in the first 2 modules. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Hussein, is your issue resolved?
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
actually, I just wanted to ask, as we would be supposed to work in teams, so is it possible that we can have a brief session on Git?
Yeah, it is possible. We can have it towards the end of the second module. Yeah, we can have a brief session on Git. When we start the capstone, before that, we can have a session on the Git thing. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Rabia Salman, you have been quiet, and I believe you're the only female participant. Do you have any question? Walaikum salam.
Actually, I don't have any questions because I've been self-studying, but I like the outline. I wanted to focus on the visualization part, but sir told me that we'll be covering that later on.
So that's module 2.
As it in a separate course. Power BI and Tableau, I'm talking about that.
Okay.
That's a separate certification, yes.
So I actually wanted to know about that. But otherwise, I'm okay with the course time. I don't have any questions.
No problem. So the visualization, just to be clear with everybody who is here, we'll be covering visualization, but only the Python libraries, the visualizations through that. But we have put together a very robust, intuitive 4-month certification. Inshallah, we'll be launching that later this month. That will be a BI certification, business intelligence certification using Power BI. And we'll be giving knowledge of, just like brief knowledge of Tableau and ClickView as well. But from the perspective of data science, we'll be covering visualization as well in the certification, but only the Python libraries visualization. Yeah. Okay, I guess we just are a couple of minutes over time. So does anybody else have any further questions?
Hi, this is Hassan. Can I ask one question, please?
Sure.
Are we using, I'm assuming that we are using all open source technology. Are we using any paid version that we need to buy or something?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Hassan. Hassan, do you have a question or is it from the previous? Okay, perfect. I guess we can wrap this session up. It was highly intellectually satiating for all of us, I would say. Thank you, everybody, all the remaining participants. We could not, unfortunately, due to the shortage of time, we could not continue with our lecture as we would have liked, but don't worry about it. We have a very long road ahead of us, and we would like to keep these sessions as interactive as the one today. Everybody comes from a very diverse and interesting background, and we at FTI are very much looking forward to interacting and mingling with you going forward. Thank you, everyone. And inshallah, tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time, we will resume the first lecture of Module 1.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Sir, I just wanted to go
Yes,
because
Ayman?
we didn't really get time to give a formal intro. I think intro is not that much needed, but just in case, one thing that I want you to guys know, okay, we really value feedback, and as one of you just said about Git and other things, and I'm personally looking at the feedback, so for all the modules or to how the course is being conducted. So any feedback, any improvement, anything that you would want us to add that we can think that could be added, any suggestion, that's why we also want proactive kind of feedback so that you can communicate it to me, email it to me. So yeah, that is pretty much it on from my side.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I guess we can end this session, right? Tomorrow again, it will be 7 o'clock. We can join, and it will be a 3-hour session. We'll start the content coverage from tomorrow. We'll try to speed a bit because the initial 2 sessions are mainly based on the groundwork,
Laying the
the
foundation.
basic terms about data science and the methodology. So tomorrow we'll speed through some of the, you'll have the content available, right? But we'll try to speed through and try to cover all the content that we were supposed to today as well as tomorrow. So we'll be like on 1.5x speed tomorrow.
Just one last question. So the content you'll be going over tomorrow, is that possible? You can share with us?
Yes.
Okay, that'll be great.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
It will be shared on Google Classroom.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the participation and see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.
Take care. Goodbye.